Or if you're tall, you can just do that. It's faster. Not for me.
You with your, the old road and bridge guy for the county, Jim,
Bill Nation.
or Bill Nation, yeah. He told me that he used to trap rattlesnakes in huge barrels for the University of Wyoming to study.
Uh-huh.
I don't know how he got them, but he just,
With his hands.
probably.
I think you
My
use a stick.
My
and you
stepdad
put
can
it down,
pick 'em
and
up.
you grab the head and you put them in.
He used a stick.
My stepdad can pick them up. He'll move them. He doesn't kill them. He
My
just,
grandpa would kill them with a shovel.
Yeah.
yeah, that's what Garrett does.
Or do we
One
just-
time Garrett though wanted to shoot one.
So you'll start. How did that work out for him?
And you said to yourself,
And he had a shotgun and he missed because it lunged at him and he was scared. I'm like, how do you miss a freaking rattlesnake with a shotgun? He got him the second time and I'm like,
The second time?
that's pretty bad if you miss with a shotgun. Yeah.
You guys are having way too much fun.
I'm talking about Garrett with trying to shoot a rattlesnake with a shotgun
Oh.
and he missed.
Oh, up by your house or something?
No, it was on the, well, I'm not gonna say where it was.
Okay.
It's probably-
It was way out in the country.
Yeah, yeah.
he was in that place that we're not talking about.
Secret Avenue.
Probably just not somewhere.
We used to catch not rattlesnakes, but water snakes down at the river and garter snakes and all that.
Oh, yeah.
And we chase our sisters around. Oh my God, it was so fun. And now, if you want to see me act like a 4-year-old girl, put a snake by me, any kind.
I don't like snakes.
Oh,
Still have my own, evidently.
my friend showed me his python and stuff, and we're in the
Yep.
bedroom looking at it. And then we're outside out watching TV, and he comes out and throws a rubber snake on me. I almost caused damage in his house, man. It was-
No. My uncle had one in the basement. Then he did want us to spend the night there, and we're like, the snake's in the basement. It got too big for his cage. They ended up giving it to the zoo.
We had water snakes,
I don't.
but I was pretty little then too. Had no fear. Oh my goodness. Daryl called me. He isn't going to make it, and Bruce is not going to make it because they have a doctor's appointment. And so, I guess we have a quorum anyway, and I'm sure Chris will be here. So if we can just wait a couple more minutes, is that okay with you? Been quite a day.
Lots going on.
Awesome one. Yeah, come on. Okay. Does the city own a paper shredder that one of these might fit in? Just
Please.
checking. Okay, might slip. I guess I don't necessarily need this up for you to go. Okay. I'll call this workshop to order at 6:03, and I will turn the floor over to you, Stephanie.
Perfect. So, we can do a couple of things as we go through policy. We can go with things that you've seen that you want to talk about, or I can just go through section by section, tell you what we've done. What works best, do you think?
Probably just section by section, I would imagine.
Okay. Okay. Perfect.
Is that
Yeah.
what you guys are thinking? Steve? Okay.
Okay. So, the beginning few pages are just acknowledgements, basically, just saying that people received these. There's a letter at the beginning. We can change that. It's just basically summarizes what the city's all about. So just tell me if you want those changed as you read through them. We do have two separate acknowledgements. We have an acknowledgement that they received the policy manual. Now, one of the things that I'm very specific in this, we do orientation the first day that they come. We give them the manual. We don't expect them to have read it yet. And so this acknowledgement says that they acknowledge that they received it. It's their responsibility to read it. If they have any questions, come to us.
I like that better.
Okay. This next one is specifically discrimination and harassment, discrimination and harassment prevention, that they received that. That's also part of this manual, but I pulled it out separately because we do that as an annual training. And so this is an annual thing that they'll do over and over and over again. So that's why that's separate.
Hello.
Just so you know.
Okay, bye.
Then,
Chris.
of course, you have your table of contents, comes next, which is extensive. So we're gonna go to section 1.1, which is purpose, under purposes and legal authority. A lot of this in this whole section did not change a whole lot, just because it's the legalese that is standard. So section 1.1, we just kind of simplified it. On our old policy, there was like 4 points. Some of them weren't specific to purpose, so we removed those and just stuck with what the purpose of this policy is. Basically to give information about what our policies are and to provide management the structure that they need. The next one is just kind of summarizes that it's adopted by resolution by City Council. That's standard too, and that we follow all state and federal laws. The next one, section 1.3, we have changed. The only thing we've really added on this is the last sentence that says the City of Rawlins reserves the right to unilaterally amend these policies contained herein by resolution of the City Council, with or without prior notice to employees. These are public meetings. It's their obligation or their expectation to know those things. However, from HR, we would let them know anyway. That's just what we do. So, but that's the only thing we changed there. Section 4, we went through and went through the coverage of this one. This is a little bit different from what was in there before. There was a lot more that was specifically called out, but we didn't have really the responsibility to, or the way to do that. We can't make policies for elected officials, yet that was included in the last policy, so we kind of took that out. So you guys are not included in that. This isn't a policy for volunteers. This isn't a policy for commissions and boards, that type of thing. Civil service for police and fire takes precedence by state statute than this, and so that specifies that in here also. Contract work. So that's what that one talks about. If there's any questions, please just stop me, I'll just keep going. The next one, section 1.5, we just defined it better and we added HR in there because there wasn't an HR department prior to now. Everything went through the city manager, and so we put those HR roles in, and that kind of goes throughout the whole policy. Section 1.6, this one we made quite a few changes in. We put in enforcement. So this is just the way that this policy will be enforced. We put in the city manager and human resources. That used to be just the city manager, ensuring that the rules are applied uniformly, they're fairly, we're basically following the law. And then divided out, human resources are responsible for ensuring that all employees are provided with access to this manual. Department heads, we defined that their roles were, that they were responsible for applying these fairly across their staff. They can, in their specific departments, establish additional rules. This was part of our policy before, in addition to those in this manual, because there's things like in a police department that would be specific to a police department that would need to be as part of their policies, which would not necessarily apply, I would say, to the rest of the city, or for any department, if that makes sense. So that's basically what this says. Any question on that? Okay. The next one, we just simplified the savings clause, just simplified it and made it more explanatory. We added section 1.8, which is the supremacy clause. This is something that talks about which rules supersede others. And so basically says that department policies and procedures would be superseded by these policies. And the same thing would be if, well, we'll read through it just because my mind isn't working. Okay, so if the departmental policies or procedures are found to be in conflict, they'll be superseded by the provisions of this manual unless otherwise noted herein. So that means like civil service would supersede. The manual shall supersede any existing agreements made between the city of Rawlins and any employees. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, and then the next section, section 1.9, defines the civil service commissions and where they fall in there. Section 1.10 talks about volunteers. Within our departments, there's different areas that have volunteers. So like volunteers at the rec center are very different than volunteers at DDA. And so those rules will be established by that department for those volunteers and not by us, if that makes sense.
Can I ask a question? I guess there's some, looking up here at the volunteers and the seasonal employees thing, there's some question about us hiring seasonal employees and then doing the background check takes too long, then they find other jobs, inhibiting our ability to use those kind of folks. Is that addressed in here?
It is not addressed in there. That's a policy that we have, that every employee needs to go through a background check, whether they be seasonal or otherwise. That we want to be able to protect the individuals we serve in our community. And so a lot of times we have seasonals, or we have volunteers as coaches that work at the rec center. They work with children, they work with youth. And so I think it's critical that we take the time to do a background check. Now, we've talked in our staff meetings that maybe we need to look at using, right now we use Employers Council, and it takes a while to do that background check. That's something that we can look at, maybe a different group of people to do that.
I just know, like when my wife volunteered to help and stuff, and then it took like a month to know if she's a crook or not. I understand protecting, making sure they're not, they can be trusted around children, and I understand all of that, but it takes too long. We have to do something else. That's just my absolute 100% feeling about it, because they'll just go get another job.
And that does happen, yes.
And, it used to be people thought about, well, 3 months from now I'm getting out of school, and 3 minutes from now I need a job. And so I just hope we can speed that up and still do it safely, but I know that there are several people that have walked away from that temporary employment that would have been great employees, but they weren't gonna wait weeks,
Mhm.
you know, because they could walk across the street, go to work tomorrow morning. So-
Absolutely, absolutely. So that is something we've talked about, haven't had the time to look into it, but that is
Yeah,
on
we need to
our
do whatever
radar.
we can do. I mean, this time of year, it might not be important, because either they're already hired, or we've already cheated ourselves out of them, but that is a problem, in my opinion.
Okay. Yep.
Might ask Elevated Solutions, they do background checks and see
Okay.
how fast they
Okay.
get it back to you, that's what the
Okay.
company uses in case of emergency.
Sounds good. Perfect. All right. So the next section we added in, we did not have any information about seasonal employment in our policy prior to. So this just talks about seasonal employment and defines what that is. So according to the Affordable Care Act, seasonal employment is defined as an employee who is hired for a season, if that makes sense. So meaning that that season is repetitive, often repetitive, so it's summer season or skiing season or whatever it may be. So that season is generally repetitive. They limit it to be less than 6 months time frame for the Affordable Care Act. If we extend that on to more than 6 months, then we are under the provisions of the Affordable Care Act and obligated to offer benefits to them.
Mm.
And so that came around with the Affordable Care Act. That kind of summarizes that, so it's just out there. That we have that question a lot. Well, why can't we have them for 7 months instead of or whatever? But we're very strict on that. We have to define that in our NA policy. That's the new rule that's come down from.
Is that a city thing or all employers?
It's all
Oh.
employers through the Affordable Care Act. But you can define it different ways. But that's, there's really just 2 ways you can define it. You can do it either through what's called the 6-month period or a look back period. And so you can look back 12 months and look and see if they worked more than, 20 hours, less than 20 hours throughout the 12-month period, or you have to look at it at a month period and say, in that month, did you work less than 20 hours a week? Does that make sense?
Mhm.
So you have those 2 choices, and so since we use seasonal employees pretty heavily in the summer, we use them 40 hours a week, and so we went with the 6-month time frame. Uh-huh.
I know in the past they used to hire 16-year-olds. Do you know why we don't do that anymore? I just think you'd have way better.
It depends on the job. With the child labor laws, they can only do certain types of work. Part of that is running equipment. They have to be 18 in order to run a lawnmower, like a rideable lawnmower. They're very specific with the child labor laws, and that's why if we can find and we actually have had people at the rec center that are 16 work for us. But they're not running equipment and stuff like that, right, Jason?
Correct.
Okay. So it just depends on the work that they're doing. So you would think very quickly, I would think, okay, I'll have my kids go out and work for parks for the summer, but it's because of the equipment. So,
So we need push lawnmowers.
there we go.
For the whole park. They'd get a workout.
We'd have a winning football team.
Perfect. All right, so the next one is employment at will, which is section 2.1. This just goes through, it's just updated according to Employers Council and the SHRM website. So to define what employment at will is. The next one, 3.1, is it really comes from the EEOC, that poster, the employment poster that you see. They've changed it over the years and specified more things. This just really updated it to meet what EEOC regulations are. So that was revised in October of 2022, and this is what that says. The next one.
Oh, are we done?
You have any question? Yeah. Any questions on that? It basically just follows the poster, so. The next one is section 4.1. This is Americans with Disability Act and reasonable accommodation. We really defined this a little bit better than what it was. In our current policy, it's pretty vague, and we really defined what a reasonable accommodation is for the city, what we're going to do, how we're going to meet the federal law. We also included ADAAA and ADA.
In our job descriptions, do we have like the minimum qualifications, like they must be able to carry 50 pounds or and those kind of things?
Yeah. And that's important to have in there too, because, yeah.
Yeah, well, I know like when people are hurt or injured, you might make an accommodation for a little bit, but long term, you can't not have them be able to do the basics.
Yes. And we do talk about that even further in like light duty agreements and that kind of thing, because that wasn't part of it here, but yeah. So that's just, this part is just revised basically to meet those laws and the changes that have been made with those as they updated it. So, right. The next one is section 5.1. So this is discrimination and harassment prevention. So we expanded this quite a bit. Over the years, times have changed, and this within our world is becoming a very, very critical thing. And so we've gone through and made this more up to date. And a lot more clear what we expect about anti-harassment and protecting people so that they're not discriminated against and that we treat people equally and fair. Went through and talked about what that means, what prohibited behaviors are, sexual harassment, some examples, that kind of thing. Obviously not limited to the things in here, but we wanted to make that very robust, because this is such a big thing within our world today. Making sure that we take care of our employees, but also make sure that we protect the city from any of that within our employee, our staff. Okay, the next one, 5.2, we defined harassment by non-employees. So the harassment that we've talked about so far is been employees with employees, so coworkers or supervisors or that kind of harassment. The next one is harassment by non-employees, and although we can't regulate necessarily what other people do, we can help our employees by taking them out of the situation and do what we can do to protect those employees. And that's kind of what this is saying, is that we will do what we can to protect our employees from outside people, whether it be contractors or general public, whatever we can do to protect them and take care of them. The next one, section 5.3. I didn't put what it must be the same because I don't have any changes on this one. Just kind of goes through and lays out what the complaint procedure is for that and what they need to do, and that it follows the same as what was in our policy currently.
I bet you updated it to say human resources.
I did, all the way through. Yes, yes. But I don't. With harassment and those types of things, I'm very. It's very important to me that it's not just HR that they have to come to. They can go to anyone. So if they feel more comfortable going to a supervisor or going to the city manager, let's just take care of it. That's what's important. And so that's kind of what it talks about, is just making sure that we help our employees. We want to be there for them. We don't want this to happen. So you just highlighted. I did. Perfect. So reports in our old policy, they had to report in written form to report as sexual harassment, and we opened that up. They can just tell us if they want to, whatever works best for them, because we want to make sure that they are taken care of. right? And then the next one, 5.4, is retaliation, and that's just rewritten what we have right now. We don't want retaliation. And so, and like I said, we go through this annually in a training with them, so, with all employees. So we just finished that, actually. So, we kind of based a lot of this on LGLP and what their policy was too. That's where this basis of this came from. All right. Whew. You guys good? Any questions? Okay. So section 6.1 talks about confidentiality. We kind of revised this a little bit and we updated it, made it a little bit more robust. One of the things that we is kind of standard across the board right now is that if anyone would like to view their employee file, that is open to the employee to come and view their file. However, it will be supervised. We're not going to just say, here's your file, have at it. Someone in HR will supervise that because we want to make sure that it stays true, if that makes sense. So that's what that says there.
Have you had requests for that?
Sometimes we'll have people come look at their file, just to make sure things aren't put in there that are not, that they're aware of. So, and of course I would never put anything in there that they're not aware of. But anyone is willing to, or is open to come and look at their file. However, I don't let anyone come see their file. So they would have to have a reason to come and look at an employee's file. There would need to be a purpose. So like if a supervisor comes and they want to come see if there is some performance problem, performance forms in their file from the past, if they're having that kind of an issue, then we can sit down together and do that too. Same thing, it's all supervised. It's not ever left alone, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Shouldn't that be just the city manager doing that and not even a supervisor? Shouldn't they go through that chain of command and go to the city manager and then the city manager would review that? I don't think I mean, just me properly, because that's the
That's
true.
not how the state would do it.
That's the true person in charge, right? And it's a city manager, and
But
then.
if they're your employee,
But in all reality, the process has to run through a city manager, and it should be
I disagree.
No.
the city manager doing that, I believe.
In my experience, when I want to look at my file, I would go to HR. That's who I'm directed to go to, is HR. Because they're the ones who keep the files and.
Your personal, you as a person does that. If
Right,
a
and if my boss
supervisor,
wanted to see my file, she would go to HR.
but the city manager is the ultimate person, I believe, should be the person that sees that file with that supervisor. That should run through the city manager. That's the ultimate, like the supervisor of all.
So one thing with any performance write-ups and any of that, those are seen by the supervisor or by the city manager, yes. Absolutely.
That's why I say for a supervisor just to go look at a file. I understand you have to have a reason or whatever, but that should run through their boss, I believe, at the
I
high
have to
level.
think about that, but I tend to agree with you, but I have to think about that a minute.
So do I.
So we can make a note about that and come back to it.
I think
Is that-
someone.
Jason, did you have something?
And just another example might be, say, a department head coming in that might be new and wants to look at an employee to see what their education and experience is and maybe review their resume, because a lot of times you don't know the background of your employees without looking at the file. So it's not always for a negative reason, I think, but for, multiple reasons.
Yeah, I see all of that. On the other hand, a new supervisor, I don't know, to me should make up their own mind, but,
Yeah, respectfully disagree. I think as supervisor, they're hired in that position for a reason. And if they need to see their employee's file, I mean, most people, most agencies, like I work for the state, the HR has a file on the employee, but I also have a file on the employee. So a lot of the information's actually kept at my level. So, I don't know.
Let me think about that.
Okay. Okay, so we made a note, so we'll come back to that one
Okay.
and discuss it. So we talked a lot about the personnel records, so that's kind of that discussion. Medical records are kept separately, that's by law, that they're kept separately from the personnel files. So if a supervisor comes in or an employee comes in, they are two separate files and would be entirely by need, not by just because you want to see what's in a personnel or someone's medical file.
And that's only viewed with that employee's permission, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. The next one is record retention. We added that in. That's just something that is state law. We have to retain the records, employee records, for a certain period of time. So, good question.
Do we do fit testing on any of our employees?
We have not. That's something that we could do if we wanted to. Yeah.
Because that also has to have its own separate file.
Yes.
What was the question? I'm sorry.
Fit testing
Testing.
for PPE, for respirators.
Oh, okay, I see.
You have to have a whole program
You
set
have
in
to have a
place
whole
for
program,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was just
And-
curious.
And we're currently working on a process for that because we're working with Wyoming Department of Safety and Risk, and we're working on doing respirators and all that kind of stuff, but it's just in that infancy of that, putting that together.
Do you know the years it has to be on file too? Because it has to be on file for so long afterwards, and they have to be able to go and test for so long
For
afterwards.
respiratory.
Yeah,
It's
it's
like,
5 years, three.
no, it's
it-
like 30.
But I mean, it's like a 5-year deal or something like that. I think like you get so much, and then it goes. You know what I mean? I think is how I can't
The
remember,
Wyoming
but
State Archives has all that information, especially on local.
it's so crazy though. A fit test program. I mean, I could see where we need it in a lot of aspects. You know, with fire and stuff like that.
Water
And,
treatment
but
plant,
yeah,
chlorinating, all
so
those things, yeah.
I mean, anytime they don any kind of
Yep.
PPE as such, you know, that
Don't they have their own though? To fit test?
you can get a fit test. They could certify someone to fit test themselves, but there's still a program that you have to be.
training yearly.
Yeah, you have to have your annual training. You have to.
medical
Oh,
exam
every year.
You have to
It's a
have-
big program. It's quite extensive.
I'm
But there
very
is
involved
is
in
the
ours.
program itself run separate from the fire department or whoever would be wearing a fitted item of
You'd
some
wanna-
kind?
Like ours is ran, we run it for our department, so it's
You could.
department-wide, but-
I would just run a citywide if it was
Yeah,
me, right? You just
that would make
include.
more sense.
You would include your fire department,
Okay.
wastewater. Anybody that
It's-
has to do is how I would recommend that to be done.
Okay.
So I know Blaine is working hard on getting those updated and approved through this Wyoming Safety and Risk and all that kind of stuff too, so.
It's a big
that's
deal.
That's a big deal, yeah, and there's a lot of things like that that we're working on too, on the other flip side.
Are you guys also required to do yearly, like, bloodborne pathogens?
We have not, but that's something we do need to include, we just have not done it yet to this point, so. Yeah, we have a lot of work ahead of us.
Yes, sorry, I was just
No,
curious.
you're good. Okay, so the next section is 7.1, so this is political activity. This one we took a lot from, kind of meshed what we had. What we had was just really short. Don't participate in political activity. And we added some of the information that comes off of the SHRM HR website, just to make sure that we mesh those together. But basically, it just says that employees can't be on city council. We need to divide between political stuff and actual city staff work, if that makes sense, and keeping that separated. Chris?
Go ahead. Go ahead first.
I don't, the way that's worded,
Yeah.
no employee shall be a candidate for
Yes.
city council.
Okay,
That means they can't run to start with.
okay. You
The
wanna
other
change
thing
that?
is any employee desiring to hold such office must resign from employment upon being sworn into office.
It contradicts.
Those are two different things. And,
If I take that first sentence out, it should cover? you
right,
think?
because they should be allowed to run and stay an employee, but when they get elected, they
Resign their
would have to
position.
resign.
Okay. So we just took out that first sentence and we did any employee desiring to hold such office must resign, or hold,
Must hold, desiring to
office.
hold a public office or whatever.
okay.
Does it need to be in there after elected or any such, some wording like that?
I
'Cause
think
it-
it does already say that because being sworn into office.
Well, there's two different timelines that hit. Number one is once you're elected, then all the ethical stuff and a lot of
Yeah.
requirements by the state kick in right then and there. And then when you're sworn in, different obligations take place. So I struggle with that too, whether they should be allowed to be an employee after they've been elected and not seated. That would be one trigger point, and the other trigger point would be when they actually got seated. Now, they wouldn't be able to vote or anything or whatnot until they actually got seated. So probably that would be the trigger point.
Yeah, because if they were elected, you'd still want them to be able to put in 2 weeks' notice. And if you don't want to be like, the night you find out
Yes.
you're elected, sorry, I no longer work for the city. of Rawlins."
What
You know what I
water
mean?
leak? You're on your own. So, yeah, I think once seated would be the trigger,
Okay,
I agree.
but that first sentence gotta go.
so do you want it upon being sworn into office
Any
or
employee,
seated, which is kind of the same?
Same thing upon.
Sworn
Sworn
in,
into office
yeah,
is
which
okay,
is the
okay.
same thing.
Okay, perfect. And then it just.
So you'll strike them desiring to hold such office? You're gonna strike that
Yeah,
out?
I will
It'll be-
change it to desiring to hold a political office.
Well, you,
Is that all political offices?
that, yeah, you gotta, it'd be
Because you
city
don't-
council only.
Yeah, because you would want them to be able to run for
Okay,
county
Or if they got
commissioner,
elected as
or
state senator or
legislature, yeah.
something, they could stay on the council, I think.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
You would think.
Well,
I don't
It's
know.
not a conflict.
I don't know if it does because they fund us.
Well, they could recuse from that portion.
Yeah, they never would, but yeah.
Well,
okay, so any employee desiring to hold a position on city council must resign from employment upon being sworn into office.
Correct.
Okay.
what she said, not what I did.
And then it talks a little bit about if they are running for office. So encourages employees to participate in lawful political activities. Participating in activities must be conducted on the employee's own time and should no way suggest that the city of Rawlins is supporting them. They can use vacation leave for that if they choose. And then just talks about different activities that are prohibited from being performed on duty.
So if they're an employee, they cannot participate with the county clerks, like go there and be a
Election
watcher and stuff like that. They can't do that, or
I kind of just took this out of our policy right now. Do we want to change that? Because I know we do have individuals who do.
Yeah, but they
use
also get
vacation.
paid for doing that, so it would be double dipping.
So they
get
do it on their own
$4 or
time.
something. But yeah.
They got paid pretty good this last time.
Oh well.
already in there.
Okay. While on duty. Okay.
Well,
The on duty part.
yeah,
Never mind.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's
They
it's
can do it if they're,
off
on-
duty.
on
Yeah.
vacation.
Yeah. I'm brain dead. Sorry. On date.
And then the next sentence just basically says that we're not going to, they can't use our copiers, they can't use stuff in the city to promote their political activity. and no political driven emails to their coworkers.
That's good.
Basically. Anything
On
else in there you
that-
see?
On that, it said conducting or participating in opinion polls. Is that the surveys that we send out annually? I mean, is there any city employees, that's what, they're not allowed to do that?
I think with
That's-
political,
yeah,
this is
political.
political. Do you want me to specify that more?
No, I just want to make sure of exactly what we're talking about. Anytime you're talking opinion polls, it's anything, it's on that aspect of things. I understand this is a political part, but
You might want to be more
Be more
specific about,
Okay.
but even if we're asking them,
I don't think they should participate. I mean,
well, it's like
It's a
we went
double-edged
to the-
sword,
We
right?
went to the senior center and passed out surveys. I was with a paid employee, which I thought was absolutely proper. I just don't want that to prohibit that.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
I will define that better. Thanks. Good catch. All right. So the next one is relationships. So the first one talks about employment of a relative or a domestic partner. So we added domestic partner in there. It was just a relative before. Just kind of the world has changed. We just kind of expanded that just a little bit. The next section, this came from this personal relationships. It came out of the SHRM information. So this is standard, basically standard HR policy, just basically saying romantic relationships. We'll do what we need to do to make sure that we're not making problems, both with individuals who may be supervising. Obviously, we won't have anyone be supervising someone in a romantic relationship. That causes problems. But also, if it is determined that it's causing problems within the department, that can be something that the city manager can address too. So it kind of just left that open if it's causing problems. So, okay. The next one is just standard. If they change their employee status, they need to let us know. We kind of put that in that it should be. We often get emails now because of spam emails just saying people's names, please change our direct deposit. It just is kind of a verification that HR is not going to just go change it. We will contact you and ask you that. We're just not going to jump in and do it.
I think the mayor just sends text
Oh,
messages
all the
off of
time.
random numbers. I mean,
That's all the time.
I didn't know what to do with the stolen phone, so
I just had to laugh at it. Like,
I've had that happen several times. Matter of fact, one of the employees actually spent $600
oh
on
gosh.
gift certificates, took the picture,
It's crazy.
Yeah, anyway, I don't know who would steal my identity. Have you seen me?
The world's changing. It's crazy. So.
Oh,
Which is one of the reasons why we kind of set just going back to the reason why the manual's set up this way, is the world changes so fast. We need to be able to just identify, we're gonna go to employee information and privacy, if we're gonna just revise that section rather than throw out the whole thing to start new, you know what I mean? So it's a lot easier to be able to update, which I love. All right, so the next one is section 9.1. So this is, we didn't have anything in there about social security numbers, but we put in information that we are not going to sell off social security numbers. We're gonna maintain them confidentially and be able to take care of them. We'll also dispose of them according to the law, like we need to do. So, the next one, video surveillance. I think we talked about this in our last meeting. Just that's something that we have the option of doing. to help keep a safe workplace. We have video cameras positioned throughout the city, basically just saying that they're there. There's no sound on those except for in here. So we will add that. Other than in public meeting forums, there will be no sound. But there is that video.
And they are notified or whatever where they're at, like by a sign, video surveillance or whatever.
We do not have that. If that's something you want to have us look into, we can do.
I just don't know legality wise or anything like that. If you need to, I don't
I
know.
think that would be enough.
I don't know,
We're told that you have cameras and.
cameras work better if they don't know they're there.
Well, I get that. I didn't know if it's something legally you might have to do.
And then the next one, 9.3, is just employee suggestions. We just expanded that to have the survey portion of it added in there, so. All right. The next one, this is something that we've run into quite a bit since I've been here. Just having definitions of what classifications we have here. And so we really defined what an exempt employee is. We took that, most of this came from FLSA, just making sure that we have it defined. And once again, we have the seasonal defined in there, why it's the way it is, and what it means. So that's all a new section, but basically just clarifying FLSA stuff. Questions? Am I going too fast? I feel like I'm going really
No.
fast.
No.
Okay.
Keep going.
Okay. All right, the next one talks about outside employment. This one, we removed the requirement to get an approval from the city in order to have outside employment. A lot of people have side gigs, and it's okay as long as it's not in conflict with what the city's doing.
I
And so
thought you
there's some-
said psychics.
Side gigs. This kind of defined a couple.
I don't have one.
A couple of things that are prohibited. So if they fix water breaks, they're not gonna just go fix water breaks. You know what I mean? If a city, you know what I mean? We wanna make sure that we're doing the services from the city as a city employee. So that talks about that. They can't use City of Rawlins tools and equipment for their own side jobs. Of course, the very last one, we do not let them do any activity that is against
It's
the
the
law.
law?
So we also added a confidentiality section in there too, to make sure that we, confidentiality stuff too. Okay, the next one, recruitment and hiring, is section 12. So in section 12.1, we added that second paragraph to clarify the civil service, the Secret Service. I had that on my mind today. Fire and police are subject to civil service rules. They do their hiring differently than most positions within the city, and they follow those because their commissions are set up to establish those. The second one, we just revised the fraudulent or improper act. It just basically says that we expect you to be honest in your application. Tell us the truth, don't lie to us, that kind of thing. Section 12.3, know what I wrote there. This is just about internal applicants. We encourage internal applicants, so an individual who is working in one position in the city or a seasonal employee, we encourage them to apply. However, we expect the same process for everybody. We're not going to change the process for one individual versus another. Follow the process, that's what we do, it's equal. So that's what that really says. The second, or 12.4, under recruitment, we basically just said that we're not gonna follow political pressure, we're gonna follow the process. We have different ways that we recruit, so there's different things that are set in there. In our current policy, it's very specific about certain things that how we need to post positions, that it needs to be posted in the newspaper. We don't really have a functioning ability to do that.
What
at
about
this
the
point.
Wyoming workforce
Time for a break.
website?
So that's the place we
It
do
is.
currently do it at, yeah. So we utilize different things than what were utilized before. And it's just saying that we're not going to restrict ourselves to certain types of posting,
Newspapers.
yeah, or whatever it may be, whatever it may be.
We're getting a new newspaper. We are.
We are?
Mm-hmm.
You know, somebody's making a newspaper for the entire.
For what?
That reporter that was out of Saratoga, Mike, and it has a partner. They're gonna start a newspaper.
Everybody, it'll be paid for by ads.
Wow.
I'm pretty excited about that.
Yep.
That's news.
Something.
Cool.
Was that the end?
Nope.
Or is it?
No,
just
No.
ongoing?
The
Sorry.
computer would
Do we
not
need
let
a
me tell it
recess?
not to update. I even went in and tried to hack it and.
So how long does that take? About a
10
common break time? Time?
Do you need a
I
break?
have no idea what it's gonna do. It
Well,
wouldn't
right
let me
now it
set.
says 0%.
I know.
So,
It
I mean, I
took,
could go.
it took
Okay,
mine about 10
uh,
minutes or so.
How much longer do you have? Do we have time for a 10-minute break?
I have a lot, it's a
Okay.
long policy, so it won't be done tonight, so we can
Okay.
take a break if you'd
Leave
like.
benefits is 21. and
I
She's on
have
12.
one question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there a social media,
Yes. We added that.
For what?
social media policy?
policies.
It will, okay.
And Lynn's gonna get her computer turned on, so after the break, we should, even if this one's still being cranky, we can use that one.
Okay. Well, let's take a 10-minute recess.
That was a good idea. Just restart your computer, update it, you know,
I
get a
know.
break. Good job.
It's 2% complete.
It did this to me
Hey,
at my desk the other day.
let's cross this off your list. Let's
Your organization manages your update settings.
let's
Well,
just
thank you,
restart now.
Organization.
We're trying to get this off the screen.
When it was in Cody.
You might as well just restart now. I just
Anyone want to
did.
do that?
Oh, sorry.
When I
Control Alt
was in
Delete.
Cody, I ran into this guy and I said, so where do you work? He goes, I work for CPU out of Casper. I said, well, we might want to not talk. So I told him about the vision.
The what?
That's not happening.
Oh, yeah.
I said, well, I hope so. I said, that's really important.
Please, thank you. Yeah, mine's 6%, 7%.
And then I tried to go tell her, don't do it till 11 PM and it wasn't.
You didn't do it earlier. It's making you pay now.
Oh, I did it on my desktop yesterday.
Took my stickers out.
What do you guys up to? Oh, cool, okay.
Is that gonna be in a little bit?
It'll be a while, but, it starts at 7:30 or 8.
Okay, so we'll come back at 7:30.
Let me look at the agenda, I can tell you roughly.
Here,
Oh, okay.
here, I have a copy, sir.
How far into the agenda will it be when?
You guys are in new business. We have quite a few reports. Your first thing under new business, but that might be a good. We have the police commission report. 30 minutes?
Probably if you come back at 8 o'clock.
Okay.
And then if you're not here,
Oh,
when we
police
get there,
commission can be short?
then we'll circle back around. We'll make sure to get you.
Okay.
Okay?
We'll be back by 7:30, right? Sure.
Yeah, we started at 7:30, so, 7:45, 8 o'clock.
Okay.
Okay.
Usually the first part of the meeting goes pretty quick, so.
Okay.
Okay, you
And Chief Ford just said that the
Glad you guys
commission isn't planning to do it. They have up to 20 minutes.
So about, that's probably not
Or maybe 7:45. You're not first by any means.
Okay.
7:30 to be sure, because that's when it starts.
Okay.
At least it's.
But the mayor, if you were to get around.
Yeah.
I almost came and asked you.
Yeah.
We're good
Well,
women.
some days.
Perfect. Yeah, and he knows you wanna be here, so he can say like, we'll just move this down. I just dropped that, so.
Okay.
He can say like, we'll move this down
It's
until
late,
later.
but it's.
Like, he's got this. So you're good. Thank you guys.
Honestly, why would I never do that? What?
Until this is actually passed, all this is just.
Oh, I know.
And the other one is our drug and alcohol policy. They signed for that because we made it discounted. So we encourage that the state offers drug and alcohol discounts, so have the paperwork on the desk, pulling that out as the,
That should be enough for you.
yeah, we just have to follow certain things that are in our policy right now, so.
Can't prove it.
Can't prove that we do it, so. Cause that one, and the
That
safety
bugs me
versus.
about the state, 'cause like, it's not.
Even a hire. We had nurses.
I don't know if we're just like that.
We don't. We don't have to,
Yeah. We're changing your background. I could be doing that. Maybe with you here. No, I wouldn't even know how to do it. You're right. Not your head. Clearly.
I was going to German break.
But it just bugs me because I've had a few employees over the years, and yearly are like, high doses of prescriptions. I don't know what I can do about it, but you can prove it, yeah.
If it's from the state, they'll get a discount from the other part of the state.
Well, they have a policy. It's
Oh.
just, it's very hard to get. Because there's no follow through. They have some really good policies, and then they have some really crappy ones. Does not help us at all, as a supervisor.
And then the background thing, that's asking how to just have the time to research and figure out what we can do to make it faster and effective. We, have talked about, even employees that have been here a long time, how do we know?
You know,
if
go with
something
the
happens?
DCI. That's really good for the state.
Employers' council, so.
Hey,
It generally takes 2 weeks.
did you come back early or?
That's after they're hired.
We came back one day early.
Oh,
I
really?
didn't think she'd be here today.
Wow.
That's crazy.
It is crazy.
Yeah, no, we were
They
gonna
don't
go
wait
on
those
Sunday,
days.
but we came home Saturday. just
I
to
don't
give
know
us
why it's that
some-
way.
Okay.
It is like it's like a
I
non-background.
actually don't even remember background when I looked at it, but.
It's going up.
Yeah.
Because they didn't have to.
Because they don't.
They probably didn't do it in your department.
Budget.
But for us, we have to do it for our nurses, but it's after they're hired. Which if they have a nursing license, most likely is, they don't, unless it was something like happened Tuesday before they got hired, you know. But that's crazy.
Is capital?
It's weird.
Where are
They're
we?
weird. Yeah, when I first started, I was like, oh, expecting a drug test, you know?
What we had spent away from the budget.
Excuse
Came
me.
up with the difference.
Because every other nurse is out of, for Flying J, they did a hair follicle test. Yeah, for a waitress, for a waitress position, yeah.
But, that's all there, it's just carrying around. Show that.
I think we had carryovers.
There's quite a bit, there's
The
like 400.
supervisor
date to get submitted, it's gonna go in this year's budget.
Okay.
It all goes to next year, and I figured when we kind of froze spending a few months ago, that
Yeah.
there really shouldn't be anything. And if it's capital, it won't matter, because it's carrying it over, and it's still in there, so. Yeah, there was 400, I think. There was still some.
So we have to meet with the CEO if possible.
Yeah. And I don't remember in practices to say something.
I'll tell you because it's personal, but we're it's being handled. We're
We
aware
got
of
just like entry kids left, maybe. I gotta get with Rick.
There's food in there. I'll tell you now that I got mine.
I got hamburger. Throw some in and we'll see.
There's a bunch of food in there for you.
And it's something that
Yeah.
has to go back against this budget, I can't, but we've pretty well.
I need to sit with them.
It was nice to see old Bill Miller today.
How's Bruce tonight?
Well, it's between him and his wife.
Oh,
These are just something for our police commission when they do their presentation.
so we need to sign?
Is that tonight?
No, they're already all signed.
I
That's
didn't
tonight.
sign those ones.
You did.
When?
But I didn't.
No, you all did. They're
Okay,
signed.
good.
I'm
Okay,
giving them
okay,
to the mayor.
okay.
Oh, we signed that huge.
Yeah.
I still have some
I
more to
will-
sign, but
I do have some in my office if you guys want to sign them later. Next
meeting,
yeah.
Did you already hand it out to planning commission when they come?
We skipped around.
We just, when does planning commission do that?
They did already.
So the ones who came in January through, we handed them out at the meeting. Because I didn't want to wait a whole nother year till they came.
I know. I'm just
Are
messing.
you? Ma'am, I need your call for today.
I know.
Was there more? I didn't. Did you have one on? Yeah. See if it's.
for lack of quorum, I'll have an egg roll. Oh, Lena. From over here.
Uh-huh.
You're such a character, man.
She loves my wife.
She comes and gives me a big hug today, and because of that ribbon cutting thing.
Yeah, yeah.
She told me I will never forget that. Getting that award.
Yeah. And she should
I
have.
said, well, you should. That's,
You should have. I mean, you went through hell and back.
there is nobody
Is
that,
that 15%?
I wish I had half her energy.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
She never stopped.
She
Like
could win a
little bus stop.
bicycle race.
Who's that?
Is he doing pictures during the?
That Lena that owns this Aspen House made all these hors d'oeuvres.
Oh, they're so good. Don't touch it. Go get your own. I already shared a candy with you.
I've had my mango candy. I'm feeling pretty good about it right
Them are
now.
good.
Yes. I'll make you some more. Hey. It's because you used them.
Now, hey guys, I need two things changed on the agenda. One is I need to have approval of a liquor license for Michael Long so he can serve in Saratoga.
Oh, a transfer?
How do we do an action item? There's no.
Well, we're gonna, and then,
So we just need to, it's, all we're doing is transferring. We're not even transferring, we're
Right.
allowing it to use it outside of the city.
and so I need that on there. Okay. And then another possibility, because I can let her speak during public comment, but Kara has been asked to come speak, and she's bringing some shop reporters and stuff with her.
Okay.
So I would like to have her just on the agenda or on public comment. We won't time it, whatever you want.
Yeah, let's just release it on public comment. Release the time special on public
Okay.
comment, so we're
I'm not
we're
even
within
gonna
the same.
mention it.
Yeah.
Then, okay. But we do need to change the agenda for that other item.
Yes, we need to add it under new business. Yeah.
And he's been asked to not wait till the last minute like that, but
Not to do what?
wait till the last minute.
No,
happened
we need to
twice.
be able to put it on the agenda, but we're not really doing anything with this license. We're allowing him to use it outside the city limits.
Right, but
So under new, where do you want to put it
Is
under
it the
new?
same guy? It always does that?
Mm-hmm.
Brought the
Yeah.
current one with us.
That's what makes it like,
Well,
I know.
I'm sure that's the last thing.
Do you wanna put it first?
well, it's not gonna,
Let's put it
not
after.
really gonna change much.
You need to put it on new business all the way down, because then you have to relabel everything. You'd have to add a,
HI.
yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm sitting here eating.
Ask Lynn,
When you're
she'll
ready.
tell you. You'll make it up for her, paying for her, whatever.
You ready?
And that's over.
Okay.
So we
Are we
need to
back?
add under here.
I'm back on. I don't know, it didn't even make me log in and do anything after that update. Weird.
I'm still logged in. I guess go ahead, Stephanie.
Okay, so, we're working on section 12.1, so this is basically recruitment and hiring. We just talked about internal applicants, making sure that we encourage them, but we're gonna follow the same process. The process is you put in an application, you go through the selection process, you go through the interview process. And it kind of really lays that out, so it's really defined. One of the things coming in is, we found that different departments were doing a different process, and we just want to streamline that and keep it all the same. All hires are approved through the city manager, so that does remain the same in there. Although HR does a lot of the background stuff, but everything does go through the city manager for final approval. Yeah. Do you have a question?
Sorry, yeah. You're just talking about background process and stuff like that. Are you gonna cover some of that in a bit, or is this covering it right now?
She already covered the background.
Yeah, so it actually says in here, under selection process, the third paragraph, it says, HR will process background checks and schedule a pre-employment drug screen for the selected final candidate. So one of the things that is by law, we can't do a background until after there is a conditional offer of employment. So there's a reason we're doing a background, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so that's part of,
The law says that, because that's not the procedure we're following in another situation.
supposed to, yes. You're supposed to have a conditional offer of employment.
Okay.
So,
Interesting, okay.
yeah.
I was just curious because how long it takes to get a background check and stuff done is going, you know.
On average, we're about 2 weeks is a background. Sometimes they'll take longer depending on the counties, but it's generally about 2 weeks.
I'm just hearing horror stories, and I'll be honest, I'm hearing horror stories of taking 2 months to get people hired from background checks and stuff
They
for,
move around a lot.
for seasonal employees. But 2 months for a seasonal employee is way crazy because the individuals that I've heard of this from are moving on to other jobs, and that's why we can't have that in that situation.
Yeah. And so we'll look into different options for that, but on average, it's about 2 weeks across the board. So, and like I said, there's some counties like California has very strong restrictions on information, so it takes a long time if they lived in California. Different states are different, different counties are different. But we'll definitely look into a different process for that. Once we receive that background check that's satisfactory, our drug screen is very quick, within minutes. We can make a start date or set a start date for that, for the individual. And then we also have a thing in there too that was not in there before, that if a candidate fails to accept that offer of employment after, so we'll make the final offer of employment after this is all done. If they fail to accept that, we can move on after 15 days if they don't come to us and say, we're gonna come, or whatever, so. The next section.
You do the background check after a verbal offer of employment, correct?
It's a conditional offer, so it is written actually, and they sign it. Yep.
And then
through
we
our
just have
system.
15 days is what that is for them to accept that.
Yes. Yes. So we can extend that,
Oh, I
but,
think that's plenty.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
yeah.
I think every time I've ever had a job offer on a, come through, it's like a week almost, like it's pretty quick. You got like 5 to 7 days to accept. So, I mean, I'm good with 15, I just thought that's a lot.
Yeah. So the next one talks about medical examinations. We just went into more information about that, that we require a medical professional to do that. It's outsourced, it's not something that we do in-house. That's what we're basically saying in that one. It is kept confidential, it is kept in that separate file.
So who's your, so you want somebody to look, who do you send them to? What medical?
So it really, it depends. Currently, we have, Elevated is one of our providers. We've used, other, like,
But they're not doctors.
Meadowlark, we've used the hospital. Yeah, it just depends on who's set up for that individual's position and what, they need,
Okay.
so. The next section, section 12.5, is seasonal employment recruitment. We've kind of gone over that a little bit more earlier when we defined that 6 months process for Affordable Care Act. And this really defines it once again, just to make sure that we follow the look back method and we look back 12 months. They have to, over that 12-month period, be under 20 hours or more, or less. Sorry. So that's what that says.
And they're subject to the same background check every time.
Yes, we do them annually. So the same thing with coaches, that we will do a background every year. So like if we have a coach that coaches spring soccer and then they're gonna do football in the fall, we will keep that for a year.
Okay.
So, and the same thing would go with seasonal employment, but seasonal employment, we're looking at 6 months within a year. So, yeah. The next one's 12.6 talks about transfers. So we removed a section in this one. So if a individual, if a city manager decides that an individual would be better suited for another position and we transfer them, that's possible and we can do that. It depends on the city manager, the department heads, because that's all coordinated between the group. Of course, the employee is part of that discussion also. Reinstatement, we kind of just defined that process, just kind of made it more clear. It's basically what is in our policy right now, just saying that if an individual is eligible for reinstatement, we can reinstate them if they're in good standing. Temporary appointments, we just basically defined the process a little more clear, but it's basically the same as what we have right now. So this is where an individual is given an assignment on a temporary basis in addition to the job they're currently doing. So perhaps we needed, what do we need? Extra IT help. And so we assign an individual IT extra stuff, and this just defines that process. Or we need people at the landfill, so they just add on extra duties. Okay. The next section is on safety. So we talked, Councilmember Lumen, you talked a little bit about this with OSHA and that kind of thing. So we added at the bottom, or will add, I have it on my notes, it's not in there yet, to add in that we're gonna follow OSHA standards as trained. So if they're not trained, we can't make an employee be responsible for that. So we'll add that one in. And we are currently working in our safety department to do safety policies, and that will be an entirely separate manual, probably a lot bigger. All right, how are we on time? When do you cut me off when it's time?
Okay, you have some.
Okay, All right, so the next one goes into accidents, incidents, and injuries. We added that incidents clarification just because that's something that is in OSHA or in safety and risk. They add that incident thing in there too, because we may have a problem, a thing that happens, but nobody got hurt. But we still define it as something that we need to take care of. So we just really defined this process a lot more. We followed the OSHA regulations. We went to the employment poster, made sure we matched what was in there. One of the things that they wanted to have in there was section 14.2, which I think is great. It really defines for supervisors and for employees, if something happens, what our reporting process is and what those regulations are. So like if there is a fatality, heaven forbid, we have to report that to OSHA within 8 hours. None of this was defined in our current policy. And so we just wanted to make sure that these things were in there because they are regulated by OSHA. The next one is our light duty process. And this is something we have not had a defined policy before. It's been left up to the city manager to define that depending on who's in that seat at the time. So we actually went through and we defined a light duty process, followed a lot through workers' comp and their process for light duty. Workers' comp encourages us, if we have an employee who is injured and can do light duty work, to do light duty work if we have that option within the city. So we have made light duty agreements, and that this kind of goes through that process to make sure that we fill out those light duty agreements, that we get those approved, so that if an individual comes in and says, I need a light duty assignment, we actually fill it out, have the doctor sign off on it, that we know exactly what the doctor's specifications are for that light duty. And then we don't release that until after we have the doctor release to full duty. And actually, we send job descriptions to make sure that they can meet those obligations in their job. So that's what all that is. That one actually is we made that a lot more. Like I said, it wasn't in there before. So that is that. We also, you brought up the very end, we included the ADA thing there too, just because there are accommodations that we can do, and FMLA accommodations. So just to make that clear in there, that those are options for individuals too. So. All right. Okay, so this next one is the drug and alcohol-free policy. So Myra's gonna have to do some finagling. Okay. So this one we had a lot of discussion about last time when we talked. And I have actually also taken into account the state has a discount program that we could apply for if we chose to. And so I wanted to make sure that we met those requirements too. So this one has changed quite a bit from even our discussion. So I did remove, per your request, having a police officer to make a assessment. We did take that out because of the conflict of interest that you had pointed out. So that has been removed. So if you will go to council proposal one, so it's a different file.
Oh, a different file.
Yeah.
Yes, under that one. Under council revision proposals.
Okay, so go down a little bit, go to number 2. So I took out number 2 and number 3, which are the ones that we talked about, and kind of really redefined what we really wanted it to be, if that makes sense, from the discussions that were here. let's see, so we took out the employee PD option. I took out the number 2 and number 3 because there were some questions on whether that would go through legal or not, so I just took them out. I went and, per the mayor's suggestion, went through the county policy and incorporated those things in here too. So we did that too. Can't remember what else I did. So let's go down to section 15.2.
So where did they send them if you have reasonable suspicion? To a doctor's office?
So we actually would send them over to Elevated. Currently, they do our drug screening, so.
What if it was not in typical business hours?
So,
I think you can call them and they'll come in.
yeah, so they're actually 24 for us if we need to. So they'll come in and do it, yeah, of course, there's an extra fee, obviously,
Sure,
and there
yeah.
should be.
That's anywhere.
But they will take care of that for us. Yep. So we did add 15.2, which is our pre-employment drug screen. So this is a requirement for the state program. So it is something we do already anyway, it just wasn't written in our policy, so we do it. So we added that in. The post-accident drug and alcohol screen, we put in there that it's the same as what it was. No later than 32 hours after an accident. The random drug and alcohol testing is also part of that drug and alcohol program through the state. And so this was added in there, and I followed a lot from the county and what they do there. We can in the, currently the state will allow us with the drug and alcohol program to distinguish between CDL drivers and other employees, and we can distinguish as we are testing all CDL drivers, which we need to do anyway, up to 20% of those throughout the year, which we have that program already established, and so this kind of outlines that too. Went through and talked about the substances that are covered. That comes off of what Elevated tests for. And it goes through their testing processes and procedures. This is what we're currently doing, so we can define that, so for the state. Refusal to test, and the consequences of positive test results. Those are required by the state also to have those in there. Currently, our consequences for a positive test result, we do our drug screening right up front. A lot of times if they find that there may be a problem, they will send it off to a lab to have it verified. So a lot of times it's already gone through a second check, so to speak. The individual is given an option here that if a positive test result comes back, they're given an option to go to a doctor that's verified, and that doctor can provide us directly with that test result, and we can verify it, or we can send them to another doctor. However, that would be paid for by that employee. Does that make sense? So that specifies that also. Make sense? Any questions? Okay, so the next one, 15.5, is the use of prescriptions at work. My old copy.
It's now 15.6.
15.6, sorry. Okay. What was 5? What did I have?
5 is what you just wrote.
Okay, we just went, okay. I have my old copy in front of me. So 15.6 is the use of prescriptions at work. We encourage individuals that if they are on a prescription to please let us know, and particularly if there is going to be a problem running equipment or doing those things in job safety, please let us know and we'll work out whatever we can to assist them. The next one is record keeping. That just basically goes over that we keep those files. And then that retesting that I told you about, that we had, they can request, their test results within 5 days, that kind of thing, so, yep. All right, where are we at? Time to, whew. Sorry, I talked.
So we'll start on section 16.
We'll start on 16 next time.
Hey, Stephanie, is there a rehab program built into the city too?
We have a list of providers that we can provide for individuals if they need help. That's something that I know through the courts right now, that they're really encouraging employers to support their employees and offer those if they come to us for help.
First.
Yes,
Yeah,
first.
first,
Yes.
yes. And so we do have a list already.
Oh, I didn't know if that was, it might be in a different section. Okay.
Perfect. All
Can you
right,
get
sorry
back
for
to the
talking so
internet?
long. Thank you so much.
Are you
Thank you, Stephanie.
No, I'm online.
on what?
How many more times will we need? Couple?
It'll be at least one, so I
Okay.
don't know, it depends on how
I guess
quickly we
we'll
get
do
through.
one
We're
and
about
we'll go from there.
halfway, but we're hitting into some real hard one, or real intensive ones too. So with like leave and stuff like that, so.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Hey,
Thank
Myra,
you.
are we on the guest? Having to go on guest too? Because we can't get on any of them.
I got on guest.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about Wi-Fi. I know it's been fussy for about 2 weeks though.
I
Like,
can't
since
get
our
on
last
any
meeting.
of it.
And our internet's been slow generally, so, if guest doesn't work, I can bring up the city iPad and we can hotspot or whatever off that, but it's not very fast. Is everybody on guest? Is it-
Do you have a,
I'm on guest
I'm on guest.
for now.
do you have a
good.
cord? Like a charge cord?
Yeah. Go. I'm just thinking.
You know, I was.
I can go get this city iPad too.
I'll just, I can use mine. Can you plug this in over there maybe? Somewhere? Don't mind. Maybe?
I'm having structural issues.
You're having something else. Oh gosh. Let me see if I can get this.
I'll work perfectly through that. Oh, okay. Thank you very much. I guess I'll make a whole time.
Yeah, it's saying you're on, but you're not, and then you get booted.
The Department of Agriculture.
Oh man, I'm on the screen.
No, it's weird. It's under the Department of Ag.
Oh,
Yeah.
are we not ready to join? Are we not?
No, I don't have anything like that. Your phone showing up.
That's because I'm on my phone Wi-Fi. I had the hotspot. It says you're connected, but it'll boot you off.
I was connected, now I'm not, but now I'm trying to get back on city guest and it's not.
Yeah, mine
What
wouldn't
is
go
working
any.
for me right now?
Huh?
I'm just going with my
Sometimes
hotspot.
it does.
So, I guess my.
For me, it works. It's working right now.
Is it
Just in
seem to be
case.
working? The
Can you? She'll hotspot you, right?
yeah, I can.
Go to settings, hotspot. You're good.
So, password required for pursuit Rawlins. What's it say?
Okay, so we should go.
Yeah.
How do you spell it?
This looks helpful.
Might be called Myra's hotspot.
See, I'm not.
And then,
Like, what's the name of the hotspot?
I won't say, let me see.
There might be something with Myra or City of Rawlins, but not those.
I should just say, close off of it, click to the side. You don't even have to, go, click back when that. That's not on there yet.
Lynn, are we set up?
I'm just walking in.
Okay.
I'm just gonna leave this with you and go get the.
So what did I do? Go find your internet, got that little
Oh,
arrow
it's
up.
called iTech. There we go.
Click that. Then I'll pop up, it's gonna say. No, that's my personal.
I'm using that one,
See, I was
just so you know.
Did you get my password? Go back, it don't click on there.
Keep
and
showing
say-
up, I'm doing it, I'm going in.
Oh. Wi-Fi turned off, turn the Wi-Fi on. Here we go. There's no iPad on there.
Honestly, let me just like we did the other day.
Yeah, there's no iPad on there.
All of a sudden it was like 8:30.
You can find Might find a,
It's in, you guys should be on refresh if
It's
you've
that
already.
fifth Monday thing that throws me. Okay.
This is gonna be the problem here, keeping that thing up so it stays going. Did you get
It
it?
usually doesn't have to stay on.
Did you use mine?
No,
Oh, you could.
no, I'm,
Are you on airplane mode?
Hmm.
Is Blue's collected, does that mean airplane?
it keeps,
Off. We don't want that on. Oh, it wasn't.
There we go.
Well, I like it. Oh, here we go. It wasn't. Okay.
It's probably in, it's in, some, it's in a new mode, a new arrow mode, not a Terry mode, dinosaur mode.
Okay, so gentlemen, I'm gonna leave this here. I don't know if it has to stay awake.
Shouldn't, but just in case,
Yeah.
just put it
Right there?
right there, yeah, just lay it down.
Oh, okay.
So that's connected, so I should be able to.
Yeah, now you should have it. And then, so guys, it's iPad 4. And the password is wrong. Just if you do.
Rawlins Rocks.
Yeah, like
Rocks.
all small, all space, or no spaces.
I'm gonna write it down just in
is that all one thing?
Yeah, but it's,
And it's just called iPad 4.
Right now,
Yes.
I'm good. Okay, so
I'm good.
yes, all lowercase.
All
I
over?
think.
I know sometimes if my phone goes to sleep, it kicks me off.
Okay. I don't use it. I mean, I use it for my personal phone once in a while, but not very often. Look up technology. Come on.
If not, we're just gonna be lost all night,
Yeah.
which is okay.
Here we go. You got booted, see, I told you. Do we have just a, do we have a paper copy here in our stuff?
I do here, they just gave me one, but
They didn't give us normal. Might
all right. So is everybody ready? Ready over?
not. No, he's not.
I'm not,
Here's,
but it's
the-
okay.
Go into
here's a
Rawlins.
written copy of it.
Let's just
As
do
long
that.
as my computer works, I won't need it, but if it works.
You're getting
Go,
ready.
go into the iPad 4 one right there. Right here. And then just put that Rawlins Rocks in there. What's the date? The 20th, right?
is.
I didn't have one.
This isn't the full copy. It doesn't.
Yeah,
have
I give it to you.
This 2-page thing?
Yeah.
I have
Because,
that.
okay, well then, if this thing quits, I don't need that. All right, so everybody ready? Okay, I will call this meeting to order. It is 7:34. Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you. Next is roll call, please.
Mayor Terry Wyckoff,
Here.
Vice Mayor Steve Sanger,
Here.
Councilmember Darrell Gardner, Councilmember Tanya Lumen,
Here.
Councilmember Bruce Seeloff, Councilmember Jacqueline Wells,
Here.
Councilmember Chris Weisenberg.
Here.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next thing on our agenda is to approve the agenda. Vice Mayor Sanger.
I move to approve the June 20th, 2023 City Council agenda as presented.
I need one thing added.
Yeah, or it's going to be amended. We'll be adding one thing.
Okay.
And she's adding it under new business at the very first thing on new business, because her computer will shut everything else down.
Okay.
One second.
So there's been a motion made and seconded to amend the agenda, or to accept the agenda as amended.
Correct.
Okay, sorry. Is there any discussion? Please open online voting.
Online voting is open. Online voting is closed. The motion passes with 5 yeas.
All right, thank you. Next thing on the agenda is the consent agenda. Councilman Wells.
I move to approve the city consent agenda of June 20th, 2023 as presented.
Second.
It's been a motion made and seconded to approve the consent agenda as presented. Is there any discussion?
We just,
Councilman Wells, or Weisenberg? Close.
wow, that's far off.
Yeah, they both start with W.
They were all
okay?
pulled out already, correct? I just wanted to double check for the minutes. I thought that's what it was. Okay. That's it.
Okay, is there any further discussion? Okay, please open online voting.
Online voting is open. Online voting has closed. The motion passes with 5 yeas.
All right, thank you. The next thing on our agenda is citizens' participation. This is the time when you have to come up and address the city council. By resolution number 2C-96, it sets a time limit of 5 minutes, which we are able to we can allow you more time if needed. And so is there anybody here that would like to speak about anything that is not on the agenda? Now is when. Please come forward and just say your name, and we know who you are, but say your name and sign in, and we'll go from there.
So, hello, my name is Kara Choquette. I'm the Director of Communications and Government Relations for Power Company of Wyoming and Transwest Express. And I just wanted to tell you a little bit about the great day that we had today for the Transwest Express groundbreaking. And I have a little something to give to the city as well as to the DDA, but I understand Pam is not here, so you may be the recipient. But we're very honored to, for one, do business in Carbon County. As you know, we've been working on these projects for me personally, 14 years. It's a little bit longer than that for some others with the wind farm and the transmission line. We got through all of the steps that were required to get what's called the notice to proceed to construction in April. And I think that's the last time I was able to talk with the councils, tell you that we met that exciting milestone. Since then, we did engage a contractor for the line and station, which is Barnard Wilson Joint Venture. They will be building the line and the AC substation. Siemens Energy is building the HVDC terminal that will be here in Carbon County as well. And we were quite honored that the Secretary of the Interior, Deb Haaland, and the Secretary of Energy, Jennifer Granholm, came to Carbon County today. Actually, I think they came last night, so there's some additional lodging tax and sales tax dollars for you all with their security detail. And they came to celebrate with us, so we're really honored to have them come to Carbon County. It's been exciting for me, as I hope it is for you all, to see date lines on the Department of the Interior press release that says Rawlins, Wyoming. So we had, 100, 150 people that came today. Appreciate those of you who were able to make it to the groundbreaking and to the reception. I think you'll agree we had the perfect amount of wind to convey how this is a great place for a wind project. I think I still have some dust in my eyes from all that. So we also had the head of the BLM, Tracy Stone Manning, here, and of course Governor Gordon. So all levels of government, local on up, is really important for the success of our project, and we really feel like all siding is local, and we just really appreciate the support we've received from Carbon County, City of Rawlins, so many people here who have been listening to me do these updates for 14 years. So I have two little things. I don't know if you open it, but it's just a little memento of the groundbreaking we wanted to present to the City of Rawlins, and hopefully there's some cool place where it could be displayed.
Well, thank you. You don't know me very well. I've got to open it now.
Well, and I also wanted just to convey our thanks to the Rawlins Downtown Development Authority and Pam Thayer and her board, who've worked so hard to make the depot look great. We were very happy to sponsor the banners that are around downtown that look fabulous. That was all Pam's ideas and designs, and it just looks really wonderful. So we have a similar thing we wanted to present to the downtown DDA, and thanks for all of their work to help, support our celebration. And we, had our own staff to help set up and clean up, but Myra was there to really help boss us around and make sure we knew where the trash cans were and all that. So they were just invaluable in helping us put together a great event today. So
very cool.
Thanks. And this is for the downtown
Thank
DDA.
you. Thank you.
So I don't know if you want to read what it.
Oh,
Don't break it.
don't break. It says, don't break. No. Transwest Express Transmission Project, groundbreaking, Wyoming, 2023.
The key being Wyoming. So we knew we had to start construction here in Carbon County, and I'm happy to take any questions, but again, just want to express our thanks to everyone who helped us host this great event today.
Carol, I want to say, normally we don't respond during citizens' participation, but it's just overwhelming. I have to. This has been one of the most amazing days because it is such a profound project. I mean, like I said earlier, I can't do anything for 14 years without quitting. I mean, you guys have been right after it, and I really appreciate your perseverance and your hard work, and just the way the company operates itself. Its honesty, its thoroughness. You have put Rawlins. This project has put Rawlins on the map. So thank you, and thank you to all of the people that have helped you, BLM, your company. There's just so many players, and thank you for bringing all those very important people to our city today.
Yeah, we're very honored. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks.
Thanks. All right. Is there anybody else that would like to come up during citizens' participation? Let me look at the rest of the agenda. Is this the time for the choir loft and some of those, or is that later?
It's later.
It's later, okay. I just didn't want to skip over anybody. Sorry. All right, citizens' participation. Is there anybody else that would like to come up and speak to the council? Seeing none, we will move on to the next thing on our agenda, which is proclamation. Let's see, I don't. My desk is so deep. Do I have one up here?
You do, it's on the side where your solar is.
Oh, okay.
You see it?
Yeah. Soda?
Soda.
in the box.
What's that?
You're gonna knock that
Oh.
off the edge.
Lay that down, yeah, put it back in the
I'm gonna
box.
put it right over there where I
Okay,
can't
perfect.
reach it, or I'll be in trouble with everybody.
You can't borrow this.
This is making me nervous. Just wait.
All right, thanks for your patience while I find my stuff here. All right, City of Rawlins, Wyoming proclamation. Whereas parks and recreation programs are an integral part of communities throughout this country, including Rawlins, Wyoming, and whereas our parks and rec programs are vitally important to establishing and maintaining the quality of life in our communities, ensuring the health of all citizens, and contributing to the economic and environmental well-being of a community and region, and whereas parks and rec programs build health, active communities, and aid in the prevention of chronic disease, provide therapeutic recreation services for individuals with mental or physical disabilities, and also improve the mental and emotional health of all citizens. And whereas parks and recreation services increase a community's economic prosperity through increased property values, expansion of a local tax base, increased tourism, and attraction and retention of businesses, and crime reduction. And whereas parks and open spaces ensure the ecological beauty of our community and provide a place for children and adults to connect with nature and recreational outdoors. And whereas parks and recreation services are vital for our communities, from protecting open spaces and natural resources to helping fight obesity and providing activity and resources for all walks of life. And whereas the U.S. House of Representatives passed an official resolution has designated July as Parks and Recreation Month, and therefore I, Terry Wycombe, Mayor of City of Rawlins, Wyoming, do hereby proclaim the month of July 2023 as Parks and Recreation Month. All right. Thank you. Okay. I'm sorry I'm finding myself today. It's been a very busy day. And there's a lot of stuff up here. All right, so thank you. The next thing on our agenda is the Shooting Range Advisory Board appointments. Councilman Wallace.
I move to appoint Brent Wilkes to the Rawlins Community Shooting Ranges Advisory Board for a term ending June 30th, 2026. And I just wanted to point out that this person has been on the board since 2015.
Second.
Alrighty, thank you. There's been a motion made and seconded to reappoint Brent Wilkes to the Rawlins Community Shooting Range Advisory Board for a term ending June 30th, 2026. Is there any discussion? Would you like to speak, Brent? Tell us about the board and why you'd like to be on it some more?
Thank you for reappointing me. Been on the board since actually its inception, but moved to Rawlins in 1993 and started shooting at the rec center shortly thereafter, and been on the board since its inception and building the outdoor range, helping out with Silver Bullet, putting on cowboy action shoots and other steel shoots at the range all summer long. And if you have any questions for me?
I don't. Does anybody else?
I apologize, my thing says 2015, but
That's their record keeping. Some stuff got lost, I think.
but I do appreciate
You
your
bet.
longevity.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for applying. All right. Any further discussion? Please open online voting.
Online voting is open. Online voting has closed. Motion passes with 5 yeas.
All right. Thank you. There is another position open. I would entertain a motion at this time.
I move to appoint David Geyer to the Rawlins Community Shooting Ranges Advisory Board for a term ending June 30th, 2026.
Second.
Been a motion made and seconded to appoint David Geyer to the Rawlins Community Shooting Range Advisory Board for a term ending June 30th, 2026. Is there any discussion? And David, are you here? Is David here?
No.
Okay. Seeing no discussion, please open online voting.
Online voting is open. Online voting has closed. The motion passes with 5 yeas.
All right, thank you.
Mayor, I did add the new agenda items, so if you guys could just refresh the computer, it will be the first thing under new business. Okay, thank you.
Okay, I almost hate to because blow up.
I'm sorry.
You'll be all right, princess.
Oh, sorry. Shut up. It has been a long day.
My apologies.
All right, thank you. The next thing on our agenda is City Council reports. Board of Adjustments, Bruce Seeloff is not here tonight. I'm on the Carbon County Council of Governments, and I reported after the last meeting. We haven't had one since, and so the next thing on our agenda is DDA Main Street. Vice Mayor Sanger.
So if you can't tell by the burnt face and blackened arms, we've been out getting the downtown ready for the event that occurred today. It's great having so many national people and county people and so much cooperation within the city between departments prepping the city to get it ready for this event. I think I've painted just about anything that can be painted in the downtown. And Parks and Rec has come and put the park back together. It's beautiful. If you haven't been out there to look at it, it's gorgeous. And they did a lot of work up and down the main parts of the streets. Lots of cooperation in every department within the city. And I personally think that that's a great thing. And if you haven't been back over to that area, you should go down and take a look at it. It's pretty outstanding. And that's what we've been doing. So I'm not just red from today. This is 3 days of this, of being in the sun. And yesterday was an impossible keep your hat on day. So, and I'm not real good about putting on sunscreen. So this is why this is. But that's it for right now. And then we're going to be doing our, on July 8th, our splash pad dedication.
Oh,
and
cool.
then we have another event right at the very beginning of September as well that is also a national event for us. So we're going to be in the news a lot, and that's a good thing. Thanks.
We're in it for a good thing. Thank you.
It's a good thing.
That's awesome. All right, next report will be from Councilman Weisenberg. He's on the Rawlins Planning Commission.
I think our meeting is not going to happen this month, and we're moving to next month for the meeting. That's all I have, so.
Okay, thank you. And then Urban Systems Committee, Councilman Garner's on. I don't think they've had a meeting since the last time he reported. So I will move to the next thing on the agenda, which is Police Civil Service Commission update to the city. And I will turn the floor over to that committee, which is Travis Moore and Michael Lujan and Robert Stipe.
We need to sign in since we're in.
No, you just hand it
Honorable Mayor and Council, we're here with the report. I'm not sure that everybody on the council knows what we do on the Civil Service Commission, but it's the same statute that governs fire and police, but it outlines all kinds of different things. But pretty much, in a nutshell, we are the intermediary body between city personnel policy and the policies and procedures that govern policing, that have national things. So we ensure and participate in the hiring procedures and processes. We look at retention, we look at those types of things, promotion, and discipline to make sure that the boots on the ground have due process and that kind of thing, which brings me to what we've been up to. I think for, God, I want to say 5 years, something like that, we've been revising, not enacting, but revising, working on this document to make sure that the policy within the civil service rules aligns on both sides, both to policy and procedure in the police department and as you sit through all the time, the HR policy for the city of Rawlins. It's been wonderful for us to work with Stephanie from HR and those types of things, but we solicited civil service rules from all around the state to pick the greatest hits. A lot of it's governed by statute, but there's little nuances here and there that go into this. Not all states have this type of thing, but we're lucky enough that we do. We're happy to welcome Mike Lujan to our body and to our commission, but we're also saddened to mourn the loss of Darcy Fagnant on her thing. So recently we participated in the procedures and the process, the big overview of all the testing and things that went into the promotion for the sergeants, in which they've promoted 2, and they're still always looking for peace officers. Anything to add, fellas?
I do not. Thank you, and it's just an honor to have a seat at this table. Thank you for the appointment, and guarantee that all 3 of us will represent the men and women in blue.
Yeah, and to close, coming up, we are going to finish our proposed revision. That's actually happening, but one of the big pieces that got that is that the police department informed me when they were looking at their policies and procedures they got a hold of the Dago group and looked at that. And it's like the Encyclopedia Britannica in terms of policy for that kind of stuff. So they need to weed out all the things that don't really fit here. They're more designed for metropolitan and urban living, where they have a whole different focus on policing. So they're trying to do that, and we're trying to fit this stuff into that stuff to make sure there's not some kind of controversy, because there was a little while in which on the ground police officers didn't really know which policy to follow, and they should be seamless. It should be seamless. But thank you very much for your appointment and your attention in this matter, and we're going to present that pretty soon for review, and it'll be good to go finally.
I want to thank you guys for all that work. I mean, it gets monotonous and tiring, and then I'm sure over the 5 years a few things have changed, so you had to go back and readdress some of that stuff, and it's kind of a living document, unfortunately for you guys, but I do appreciate your hard work.
Well, I think it's worth it, given the input that we've gotten from all levels at the department. 2 different chiefs, an interim chief, and then as people got comfortable, they would voice their concerns about different pieces and parts, and I think it's really benefited us that it's taken this long.
Yeah, thorough. It sounds like an incredible process you followed, so. Councilman Weisenberg?
When this is brought forward, is going to be the same thing as a fire commission, where it has to be in front of council, 3 council members, 2 to 3 council members have to be on that? So whenever that's available and ready, I'd like to be on that to be able to.
Okay, I don't know about that procedure, but I will keep that in mind.
Yeah, it's the same thing as we followed with the fire. So just throwing that out there.
Yeah, have at it, man.
It's just it's the way that you have to do it. It has to be passed through. So
yeah, the statute. When we set to revise it the very first time we came, and they appointed actually folks on the force to review the policy, and then did the same thing again for this part. But whatever you guys choose to do that, we're open to it, because we're going to have a really good document. So
awesome.
Yep.
Very good. Thank you for all your hard work.
You betcha. Thanks for having us.
Hey, I have this for you. This is for the police commission. Would you please give these to your members, please? It's from the council, and it's just a small thank you for all your hard work.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Michael.
Yay.
And Robert Travis. This is fancy.
Yeah, thank you guys.
That's exactly, yes.
All right.
So you're aware of
Next
the
thing on our
policy.
agenda is a city manager and staff's report, and I'll turn the floor over to you, Tom.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Mayor, members of the council. The first thing tonight to go over is Thursday night will be our first Music in the Park. And with that, I'd like to invite Jason Sehan to come up. He's going to tell us a little bit about what we can expect at Music in the Park.
Honorable Mayor and Council. So yes, this Thursday is our first Music in the Park event of the summer. Our band is Patty Fiasco. It's going to be really great entertainment. Food vendors start at 5:30 p.m. Of course, it's at Washington Park. Music starts at 7. And it's just going to be a really great season at Music in the Park. We have some fantastic bands on the docket. So sneak peek to the last one, but you have to go to all of them before that, is a band. I won't release the name, but they play a rock and roll version of Disney music. How cool does that sound? Because everybody's going to know the songs, but it's going to be a rock and roll version. But anyway, so we hope to see everybody out there. A couple other things real quick. An update on the restaurant at the golf course. So we were able to get all the paperwork, all the licenses, permits completed, had his signature and all signatures done and notarized Friday late in the day. The bar is currently open, and he's working with Mikhail from the Department of Agriculture to finalize the menu, and I believe he's planning on opening for food on Monday at lunch. And currently the hours are going to be 7 days a week, I believe from 11 to 7. So we're looking forward to it. He's really excited, and he's been reaching out to the community to talk food items and what kind of things people would like to see on the menu. So I'm excited for him as well. And then just last real quick, I was able to attend the Wyoming Federal Funding Summit in Sheridan last week for 2 days. This was hosted by the U.S. Senators Barrasso and Lummis, as well as Governor Gordon, and it was the first ever of this type of summit where they gathered a bunch of federal funding partners to the same table and had a lot of discussions. More importantly, we had an opportunity to go and make connections and meet and greet with these funding partners. And so I was able to get a lot of information, just bare basics right now, but is like the foot in the door, face to face, puts the city of Rawlins on their radar with certain projects. And I was able to talk about public safety facilities for like police and fire, HVAC replacement for City Hall, Public Works, as well as the shooting range, the indoor shooting range. There's some funding that has to be COVID related, and it's got to be current and ongoing, and that's kind of limited because we're sort of coming out of COVID. But I've been working with an individual who thinks that HVAC replacement might qualify under that grant. So I'll be working with Lou Lascano on seeing opportunities there. Also, ADA improvements to citywide facilities, parks and playgrounds, trail additions, improvements. There's a ton of funding out there, and not all funding federal level requires a match. There are some that have no match, and so that's exciting, and I kind of knew that already. But also shooting range improvements, downtown improvements like curb and gutter that needs to be done pretty drastically, as well as some bulb out improvements. So what I learned in a nutshell is the people that were there can help. And so I got business cards and contact information, and they know the different grants that work together. And I've chatted with Tom about it. He's got a bigger picture for funding opportunities for the city that I'm sure he'll share with the council. But it was really definitely worth my time to go there, and it was a great event. So,
Well, Jason, before you step away, I want to say thank you for going to that, and that was awesome. And the other thing that was awesome was when we went to Cody to the WAM convention, Wyoming Association of Municipalities. There were several awards given. One of them was, they were all very well deserved, but one of them was to you and your staff, the Parks and Rec of Rawlins. And I got to tell you, I was so proud of you guys getting that award and seeing you go up and accept that. And we had several awards to Rawlins. Matter of fact, we stole the show, really, but a lot of it was your hard work, and I just wanted to let everybody know that you won that award, and and it was really something. So thank you for your hard work.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And that award 100% belongs to our staff. We got best staff in the nation. I've said it before. We really do.
He's a great leader.
But thank you.
If you look up at the screens, you can see the award and a picture from the night that they received that award in Cody last week. So we've got a picture of them. And then the other award that I wanted to mention from Cody last week is former Councilman Dabari Martinez won the Honorary Member Award. And our Honorable Mayor was able to announce him, and there's the picture there of the belt buckle and the certificate that Dabari had. That was a very special evening. I can't think of anybody more deserving of that award than Dabari Martinez. So, and there's another picture with the council people that were there with Dabari and his awards. So just wanted to share that with you tonight. On the water restrictions front, I'm happy to announce that we were able to loosen the restrictions once again to where we just ask that there is no watering between 10 a.m. and 6 p.m., but all days of the week now we're open or evenings to water as the residents see fit to water. We just ask that it not be from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Our water tanks are full, and as many people saw, our reservoirs are full to the point we had to release some water out of Atlantic Rim last week because it was at full. We have not tapped the wells yet. We haven't used any from the wells yet. So as far as the amount of water we have, we're in a really good place right now. We will monitor that weekly as we go through the summer. But we felt it was the right time to loosen those restrictions.
I want to clap, can I?
Yeah. Last Wednesday night at a special meeting, the 2024 budget was passed on third and final reading. That's another exciting thing that we were able to get, and we were able to pass a balanced budget. So the work now comes into holding to it. So a quick update on the fiscal year 2022 audit. The auditors have got through their tax season that they're in, and they are working on this now. I am hoping that in about a month from now, which would be the second meeting in July, is my hope that we will be able to have that audit report to present. So I am working with them, pulling the documentation for that, but we are working through that. A RFP has been posted or issued for the design of the Glen Edition. So we have that out, and what that design will be is just how it will look as far as the water system down there. We've been working on that for some time, and this will only be the design. We'll have to search for grants and other funding to put it in place. But this is the first step for the Glen Edition. And the last thing is the first council meeting in July will be held on Wednesday, July 5th. And that is because the Tuesday would be on July the 4th when we'd have the meeting. So we are moving that meeting to July the 5th. And that is my report.
All righty. Thank you. Appreciate that. Next thing on our agenda is direction from City Council, from City Council to City Manager and City Attorney. Does anybody have anything? Councilman Wells?
I was asked today when the water public meeting forum was going to take place. Do you have any updates on that,
We
Tom?
don't have a date yet. We are working on that.
Okay.
How often are we watering the parks now?
The equivalent volume of 3 days a week.
3 days a
With
week?
the exception of, well, we started firing them up a week and a half ago, so they're not all up and running, most are. And then we were told to wait till early next week to fire up the cemetery. So
The
it's
cemetery,
not-
okay.
but
Thank
all
you.
other parks equivalent to 3 days a week. Just to add, even with no restrictions, we would not water our parks more than 3 days a week. We try to water deep and infrequent, which is best for the soils and the turf, so we're looking good there.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, I will be moving on to new business, which is item A, which is approval of Mike Big Cities to take his liquor license to the town of Saratoga for a function. Vice Mayor Sanger?
I move to allow Mike Lujan to move his liquor license from the city of Rawlins to the town of Saratoga to a function on Saturday, June 24th, 2023.
Second.
And a motion made and seconded to approve Michael's Big City Restaurant liquor license to be used in the town of Saratoga on Saturday, June 24th, 2023 for a special function. Is there any discussion? Michael?
Honorable Mayor, worthy council, point of order, just correction, it's Sinclair, not Saratoga. Saratoga is down the road, I'm sorry. I do have an event in Saratoga, but that's not yet.
Okay.
And I will make sure, and I thank you for getting us on the agenda. We're catering a wedding, and we'll have all the proper permits. I am also a tips instructor, so I ensure that all my employees are tip certified, and I also carry a $1 million liability insurance policy.
Okay, thank you. Vice Mayor Sanger?
I would like to make a friendly amendment to move it to Sinclair and not to Saratoga.
Who seconded
I'll
that?
second that again.
Okay. Okay, so there's been a friendly amendment to make the motion to allow Michael's Restaurant liquor license to be used in the town of Sinclair on Saturday, June 24th. Is there any further discussion? Please open online voting. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. Thank you.
Online voting is open.
I'm offline, so yes.
Online voting is closed. The motion passes with 5 yeas.
All right, thank you. All right, next thing on our agenda is to approve some minutes. Councilman Wells?
I move to approve the regular city council meeting minutes of June 5th, 2023 as presented.
Second.
Been a motion made and seconded to approve the regular city council meeting minutes of June 5th, 2023 as presented. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, please open online voting.
Online voting is open. Online voting is closed. The motion passes with 4 yeas and 1 abstain. The 1 abstain was Councilmember Weisenberg.
All right, so the next thing on our agenda is to approve another set of minutes for June 14th. Vice Mayor Wells? Vice Mayor Sanger? Golly, wow. It's been a real long day, I'm sorry. Jeez
I move to
Louise.
approve the special city council meeting minutes for June 14th, 2023 as presented.
Second.
There's been a motion made and seconded to approve the special city council meeting minutes of June 14th, 2023 as presented. Is there any discussion? Please open online voting. I'm sorry, guys. Jeez.
Online voting is open.
You got uppercut it a couple times.
Online voting has closed. The motion passes with 3 yeas and 2 abstain. The 2 abstain was Councilmember Wells and Councilmember Weisenberg.
All right.
Math doesn't work.
Point of order on this, is that able to happen that way with not enough for?
Well, now, wait a minute. How many people were at that meeting, I guess is where we need to start at.
It is.
There were 4, so it will only take 3 positives, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
Good.
so we're good?
Yes.
Okay, all right. I think we're to open online voting, right?
You did.
We did.
Okay,
We
It
voted.
was
Okay.
3-2.
okay. Jeez Louise. 3-2. Okay, but it passed, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm so confused. The next thing on our agenda is, Councilman Wells. I'm gonna get your name wrong, I know it.
I move to extend the expiration date of St. Thomas Episcopal Church Choir Loft Thrift Store's landfill waiver fee to, well, geez, now I have to think of a date, I'm sorry. June 30th of 2024, not to exceed the amount of $1,064.
Second.
There's been a motion made and seconded to extend the expiration date of St. Thomas Episcopal Church Choir Loft Thrift Store landfill waiver to June 30th, 2024, with the amount not to exceed $1,064. Is there any discussion? Would you like to come speak to that at the moment?
I'll let my brother speak, but on the choir with them.
Okay.
I'm a volunteer at the choir loft, Stacy
Okay.
Glasper.
And just state your name for the, we know who you are, but state your name for the record. And-
Shane Glassburn.
Okay.
I'm a member of St. Thomas Church, and at our last vestry meeting, we had a letter just asking for approval of the waiver, mainly because at our thrift store, or the choir loft, we receive so much donations, some of which we're not able to give in good faith out at the store, and we try and use our dumpster as much as we can to get rid of it, but some of the bigger items that we receive that we can't resell, we have to remove in a trailer, and that's part of the reason we're just asking for the waiver.
Okay, and I think this started out, we gave you a waiver of $1,500, and you've used some of that, I see. And that's why we set a time limit. So hopefully you can, kind of get your problem cured by then and go from there. Does that seem reasonable? Do you think you can do that?
I believe we can get it, hopefully get it reconciled, or if not, we might come back with another letter next year.
Okay, well, try not to.
All right.
We're just having, and I'm not trying to be mean or anything, but Shane, what we have is we have a lot of different organizations that could, use this same service, and we're trying to figure out how to, keep the landfill paid for, as well as, do the right thing by you guys. But that gives you about a year and gives us a year to think about how we're gonna handle it, so.
All right.
Okay?
Thank you.
All right,
And I go to the church too.
yeah, okay, well, thank you both.
Thank you.
Councilman Weisberg?
Mayor, I was just gonna say, I'm for this to help the nonprofit out. Just due to the fact of it being nonprofit and the such situation that they're been in, and the approval that we had done prior to this. So just state the position on this, so.
Okay, is there any further discussion? Please open online voting, and my computer went down, so I'll vote yay.
Online voting is open. Online voting has closed. The motion passes with 5 yeas.
All right, thank you. Now while I catch up here, give me 1 second, sorry. All right, so the next thing on our agenda is a request from Gary Gorgon, and I would need a motion to open the discussion.
I move to approve Gary Gordon's request for the landfill waiver of fees for the demolition of the commercial building located at 1915 East Murray Street, the old KFC building, Rawlins, Wyoming, in an amount that agreed upon by the,
Put an amount there.
I have to put an amount. Can we discuss before or give an amount?
Not until there's a motion and a second.
We can always change it if. we
Okay,
need to.
an amount $10,753.40.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second for point of discussion.
All right, now there's been a motion made and seconded to approve Gary Gorgon's request for the landfill waiver of fees for the demolition of the commercial building located at 1915 East Murray Street, the old KFC building in Rawlins, Wyoming, in the amount of $10,753.40. And I will open it for discussion among the council first, or do you want to hear Lou? Lou, you're up.
Honorable Mayor and Council, I was approached by Mr. Gorgon about the cost incurred with the removal of the KFC building. Sad thing about it is I used to work there, so that's another story.
Don't date yourself.
Even with the costs that Mr. Gorgon has here, there was also asbestos removal that was done with Asbestos Technical Services out of Cheyenne. So that was another cost on top of this one. You know, in the packet, I included a picture of what the land looks like now, what it was before with the building. And it's cleaned up that corner 100%.
Do you know what he's planning on using that for?
Mr. Gorgon, would you like to come up? You're next.
Thank you. Thanks.
I'm right here.
Okay. Thank you. Honorable Mayor and Council, boy, I appreciate the time and allowing me to get on the agenda. For those of you that don't know me, my family tells me that I'm a whiner and I'm pretty naive. I've been whining about this building out there for years and years, maybe even decades, and thinking somebody should do something about it and never looking in the mirror. So finally I decided to do something about it. My family and I did, so we decided we were going to purchase it and just tear it down and go. So where I was a little naive was I didn't realize, where did he go? There he is, that we had to have a permit, you know, and do some of that stuff. So Lou has been really good to walk me through it and that kind of thing. So to answer your question, I have no idea. My family, all we wanted to do was get it down and get it out of there. So again, really with Lou's help, it came along pretty good. Came along really good. It took a little while with the gas company and the contractor and that kind of thing. We were able to get a contractor to remove all the concrete after we demoed the building. So we had somewhere between 100 and 200 tons of concrete that is going to a crusher. So at least we didn't have to worry about the landfill and that kind of thing. So again, part of my naivety, part of me was, it took us a little more money than we thought. So here I am and just ask and see if you'd waive it. But I'm certainly open to any kind of suggestions. If somebody has an idea what should go in there, you know. So hopefully did that answer your question, Councilman?
Yes.
Yes.
I just want to say thank you. I've been complaining about that building too for a
Oh,
long time.
okay.
And so seeing it, it's beautiful, and it really helps that whole end of town.
Thank you.
So it's a huge improvement. In the past, Lou, can you remind me how much we helped the last few requests just like this? I don't remember the amount.
Oh, and that's been up to council.
We've stayed in the same amount, though, a couple of the last three,
I
probably.
think the last one was 30%, 40% on Mr. Cruz's on Southside.
Okay.
So I really couldn't tell you for sure.
If I'm remembering on Mr. Cruz's, it was 5,000. I'm not positive. But I thought that's about the, is there a way we could go back and look at that real, and see that? Because I want to be
Fair.
Mr. Cruz had quite a bit of demolition also, and, you know, I think it's a thing I'd be willing to go about the same.
And if I remember correctly, we had done that the last couple before that, so it's a good number, if I remember. Do you remember, Steve? You were there for a while.
Ours were never that much.
I was thinking it's been in the neighborhood of 2,500.
2,500 has been the max.
Okay.
25, I have another one that was like 1,750, so.
Yeah.
So, along with that, and Mr. Cruz did the same thing, his brother's house, he was responsible for that house, he cleaned it up, so it did the same thing, it was in a neighborhood area, so, you know, I appreciate the same audacity you and your family's taken on this project and do that. With that, I would
Have to
amend the motion,
would have to.
or well, I can make a motion to, or
Well,
maybe a
you can
friend.
amend the motion. Somebody can second it. We'll vote on the amendment and then the motion.
Well, I'd like to amend the motion to offer 2,500 instead of the 10,000 on the same, if that's.
Do I hear a second to that amendment?
I'll second.
Okay. So there's been a motion made and seconded to amend the amount of the original motion to 2,500. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, please open online voting for the amendment. Or can you want us to do it by voice?
I have it up.
Oh, okay.
You can do it by, I can do the roll call, or you can do.
No, if you've got it on there already, that would be fine.
Yes. Because I'm not connected. Again.
Online voting has closed, the motion passes with 5 yeas.
Okay, so that was for the amendment. So now this is for the main motion to make that,
We should be good.
We should be good.
Yeah.
We're just good.
We're
Are you
good.
sure?
Yes.
Okay,
Because the amendment changes the.
okay,
Amount of
all right,
change to
good.
25.
All right, done deal. Thank you. Thank you, Gary.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lou. Appreciate your help.
I thought we had to vote again because when you make a friendly amendment, that's one vote. When you make an amendment, that's one vote, and then the motion's one vote. You vote once for the amendment and then once for the main motion.
If the one fails,
If
right?
the amendment fails.
Not usually.
It supersedes the other one.
Well, it depends.
We didn't change anything except the dollar amount.
Okay, we can discuss that later, but we'd end up same place. Good thing.
Yes, we would.
We're good.
We would have.
All right, so the next thing is to approve notification of the disposal of the Wyoming, state of Wyoming penitentiary property. I don't see a motion in here, so I guess it's open for discussion.
No, there is a motion.
Is there?
To
Approve.
approve.
Oh,
Because I
okay,
need to send
okay.
a comment to the Wyoming.
Okay.
um,
Okay, so there is a motion here, I'm sorry. Councilman Wells, sorry.
I move to approve the disposal of the state of Wyoming acquired institutional land, state penitentiary, Rawlins, Wyoming, Department of Corrections, Township 21 North, Range 87 West, 6th PM, portion of SWNE, Section 17, City of Rawlins, Carbon County. Said property is located at the corner of 7th and Walnut Street.
Second.
There's been a motion made and seconded to approve the disposal of the state of Wyoming acquired institutional land, State Penitentiary, Rawlins, Wyoming, Department of Corrections, Township 21 North, Range 87 West, 6 p.m., portion of the southwest northeast section of 17, City of Rawlins, Carbon County. Said property is located at the corner of 7th and Walnut Street. And is there a comment? I have myself down here as the presenter, I guess. What this basically is the state wants to auction off that one house that was the warden's house. And my hope is that somebody will buy it and fix it up and make it's a masterpiece when it's done, but that's what they're asking for, our approval of that. Letting them sell it. It will be sold at auction.
It works the same way as the county commission items that I bring to council. You either have a comment or you don't. In this case, you either have a comment or a no objection.
Okay. So, any further discussion? Please open online voting.
Online voting is open.
Yes.
Online voting has closed. The motion passes with 5 yeas.
All right, thank you. The next thing on our agenda is an item. Councilman Wells?
I move to approve Monday, July 3rd, 2023 as an approved holiday.
Second.
Been a motion made and seconded to approve Monday, July 3rd, 2023 as an approved holiday. Is there any discussion? From the council first and then from the floor? I'm sorry, Mike.
Oh, that's all right.
Is there any discussion from the council? All right, hearing none. Mike? You'll have to get up there and tell us who you are.
Mike Goff, council members, mayor. In regards to the third being a holiday, is there any way that an arrangement can be made, since there's two companies that rely on the landfill / transfer station being open for them to do business? Whether somebody can open for the two companies to use it, or allow them to, for the day, to operate and take it somewhere else.
Well, we can't allow them to take it someplace else just because it would be
that's
violating our own laws. So
that's why I'm asking.
Yeah.
Just, and that's what I mean by other arrangements, whether
Yeah.
it be someone come down to unlock the gate. That way, businesses supporting the community can still continue to do so, since they don't have that as a holiday. They only have the 4th as a holiday. That way, it doesn't put us almost 3 days behind.
Could you give me some kind of an estimate as to what amount of time it would take for you to notify somebody, have them show up, you unload and leave? I mean, what are we talking about overtime wise?
It all depends upon how long it would take them to get there. I mean, I can make a call to somebody on my way out there.
Well, how long does it take you to unload? Not very long, right?
No.
Okay.
I think from gate to gate, we're talking probably 10 minutes. Maybe 15.
Okay, well, all I can say is we'll visit with the city manager and see. No promises made,
Okay.
but we can see what we can do.
Just keep that in mind.
Sure, appreciate that.
I'd appreciate it, because I work 7 days a week. So Monday and Tuesday, that pushes me working 16 hours a day, Saturday and Sunday, if I've got to keep rolling days.
Okay. Well, we'll let us talk about that. We'll see
I
what we
appreciate
can
it.
do. Thank you. Councilman Weisenberg?
With that, I was just gonna ask Tom, do you have a plan for that? Because our ordinance it specifically states different things that could create a problem.
What's that?
With the landfill.
With the landfill, yes. Do you have a?
He's talking to Tom.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I thought you were looking.
No,
So
sorry. I'm asking.
What we're looking into is a set time during the day. And we would notify both of the haulers of that time on that day. That's what our initial thought was, but we will see if that works for the haulers and for everybody.
Okay, perfect, thanks. Is there any further discussion? Okay, please open online voting.
Online voting is open.
Oh, you dirty dog. Yay.
Online voting has closed. The motion passes with 5 yeas.
All right, give me 1 second here. I don't know why this thing keeps kicking me off, but
I can't get into there.
it's
Yeah,
it's gonna get kicked back in a minute. Okay, next thing on our agenda is a resolution. Councilman Wells.
I move to approve the resolution adopting the fiscal year 2023-2024 pay plan as presented.
I'll second.
It's been a motion made and seconded to approve the resolution adopting the fiscal year 2023-2024 pay plan as presented. Is there any discussion? Yes.
My question is I have a few questions. What happened to our original pay structure that we discussed, I think it was last year? Is that still something that could be on the table in the future?
So
'Cause
this is
the salary study, yes, that, thank you.
Yeah, so that is not this one. This is
Okay.
this goes back to what we've been doing for many
Okay.
years, and there's no changes in this current one that we're presenting. As of last year, it just follows. It looks a little different because we did go through and make title changes in the middle of the year last year, so it does look a little bit different in that it looks longer, if that makes sense. But the structure for the salary study is still, we still maintain that, but it is not what is being presented.
My other question is, do we have any of our employees currently that fall under the federal poverty level? Because I know that was an issue in the past.
So, yes and no. It kind of depends on what is determined as the level. The federal poverty level, they just distinguish it depending on how many are in the family.
Yes.
So last year when we looked at our structure and we actually moved some positions up, we looked at a family of 4. So if we look at that same level this year, we do have some positions that are under that. There's a little bit of complication in just moving those up because our structure compresses.
Yes.
And so that causes some problems. And so that's something that we would need to have a discussion as a council and as staff to address if we want to go forward with that. Absolutely.
Obviously, we don't have the budget for any kind of thing this year,
Increase
but I
this
do
year.
want to keep it on the table because I think it's very important that our people get paid what they're worth.
Absolutely. I totally agree.
And having people that fall below and that are qualified for food stamps, that's not okay with me. And with that, that's not the seasonal only employees, right? That's okay.
No.
I think that's all the questions I had.
Okay. Is there any further questions or comments? Councilman Weisenberg?
Does this have the holidays in here also? In this pay plan of what holidays we have?
The holidays are listed in the policy, so they are listed there. The pay plan includes just the range that they're paid
Okay.
throughout the year. Does that make sense?
So it would include their benefits of like sick and vacation that they do take throughout the year, if they choose to take those, and then holiday pays, yes.
Okay, any further discussion? Please open online voting. Thank you, Stephanie.
Online voting is open. Online voting is closed. The motion passes with 5 yeas.
All right, thank you. The next thing on our agenda is Title 19. Councilman Weisenberg.
I move to approve the first reading and waive the reading of the ordinance of the governing body of the city of Rawlins, Carbon County, Wyoming, amending Rawlins Municipal Code, Title 19 zoning.
Second.
It's been a motion made and second to approve the first reading and waive the reading of the ordinance of the governing body of the city of Rawlins, Carbon County, Wyoming, amending Rawlins Municipal Code, Title 19 zoning. Is there any discussion? And Lou, I will let you tell us what's going on.
Honorable Mayor and Council, we've gone through back and forth over and over again. We had a joint meeting in May where we had both the Board of Adjustments and Planning and Zoning Commission. And with the original copy that was done, we had changes that they wanted in yellow. And then on the second one, May 9th, the ones that are in blue are the ones that everybody agreed that we either needed to add different definitions or make some changes. And that's why we have yellow and blue on your copy. I think Wendy, she has gone through it. Wendy has gotten several emails from me on this Title 19 because we hear about it almost every day. We got a Board of Adjustment hearing on Thursday for a garage, just height-wise. Peak is 17.5 feet, I believe it was. And it'll only be 80% of what your total house height is. So he would be short on that. That's why we're going to the Board of Adjustments. If this was been in place now, we wouldn't have to have the Board of Adjustment hearing.
I've been looking way forward to this. I've talked about a lot of the changes. I think not having it is really holding a lot of projects back, so
And it is,
I
Mayor.
appreciate all your hard work on this.
Yeah, and it's a team effort.
It is.
And everybody from, our administrative secretary up to the attorney, and the boards, they're here just as long as we are, making decisions, so appreciate it.
I have a few questions. So the garage is no longer 75%, it's 125% width and length. And the height is not 75%, it's now 25 feet.
25 feet, correct.
How did you come up with those numbers?
Well, the original, and I think in our old Title 19, it could be up to 30 or 35 feet. These are just a comfortable set for heights. If you go with 75% of your total square footage of your house, and you want a garage to put your stuff in, even if you have, say, 1,000 square foot home, you got 750 square foot garage, which really, if it's nothing, we figured 125% of the footprint of the home would give you adequate room, but with some of the toys that people do have, that's probably still not big enough. So we tried to hit the happy medium, per se, and we feel, even with our old Title 19 that we rescinded from, if you look at some of the garages in town, 125% is adequate.
And does it state, I know before, there was something about you couldn't buy a lot and just put a garage.
Correct.
Is that changed in this?
And that's also been changed. We did have several people that have lots, and as long as we can meet the setbacks where the garage is going to sit and future development of a home and still meet the setbacks, you're still going to be good.
Also, it has the zoning officer. It was the planning commission that appointed them, and that's been changed to the city manager. Is there a reason for that?
That was a decision by the boards when we had them together. That was a decision, and we got one board member here. Bruce is gone. I didn't think you made the last one, Councilman Weisenberg, but it was just the verbiage that they wanted changed on that.
And I don't know if you could give a condensed version of changes regarding trailers and RVs.
And I don't have the notes in front of me, but on the next meeting, I would be happy to bring that to you.
Okay.
Because we'll have our second reading and I can define it for you on that.
I'd appreciate that.
I can tell you that like the rules were like 75% of the height of a house could be your garage. And on a normal one-story house, you'd have to have a convertible with the top down to get in your garage. I mean, I really appreciate you changing this because we live in a place where the first thing I ask when I moved here is I want to have a place where I can have a garage or a shop or whatever, which I have, but it took 35 years to get it. But anyway, where we live, having a garage is not even a luxury. It's more of a necessity here. So the changes you've made, I really appreciate.
Thank you, Mayor.
Councilman Weisenberg.
A lot of the verbiage is changed in this, is a lot of what it was, and that was a lot of discussion on it. A lot of the things that remain the same as prior that was passed before it was rescinded. I'm in the same boat as a 1,000 square foot home. If I build a 750 square foot garage and only 80% height of my house, I'm not even going to get a garage big enough that my vehicle will fit in. And it's holding back a lot of development. A lot of tax revenue base is coming in off of property taxes and everything else that this will help increase. So I am for this. I know that the height's changed just a little bit, but it was a comfortable feeling at that height. There was a garage that had a variance given prior to the rescinding that was even taller, and there is some complaints on it, but this will give them a chance to say this is a max right here for right now, and then they can go back and ask for variances and certain conditions. So I'm for it. I'll be honest, it'll increase property taxes, give a lot of development coming, and there's a lot of people asking about this right now and wanting it.
And I can tell you with a 25-foot maximum height, that does allow for a 14-foot sidewall, which is necessary for motorhomes and such like that. So I don't think being taller than that is reasonable in a residential area, but 25 feet is reasonable in my opinion. So, all right, any further discussion? Please open online voting. Thank you, Lou.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Online voting is open.
Quite a day here.
Online voting has closed. The motion passes with 5 yeas.
And Mayor, if I could receive direction, would it be the council's pleasure to keep the marked up copy for the second reading, or would you like the clean copy?
I think a clean copy. Does that seem reasonable, you guys?
Yeah. We'll have a clean copy for second reading.
Okay, thank you. All right. Next thing on the agenda, Councilman Wells. I always get.
I move to go to executive session at 8:48 PM per Wyoming Statute 164405 to consider or receive any information classified as confidential by law, and to consider the appointment, employment, right to practice, or dismissal of a public officer, professional person, or employee, or to hear complaints or charges brought against an employee, professional person, or officer, unless the employee, professional person, or officer requests a public hearing. The governing body may exclude from any public or private hearing during the examination of a witness, any or all other witnesses in the matter being investigated. Following the hearing or executive session, the governing body may deliberate on its decision in executive session.
Second.
Been a motion made and seconded to go into executive session at 8:48. Is there any discussion? Please open online voting.
Online voting is open. Online voting has closed. The motion passes with 5 yeas.
All right, thank you. Now, let's see, what do I do here? For this, you mean? Yes. Yes, yes. I'm sorry, it's been a day.
Well, is there a permit? Do we have a permit? I don't know. We should ask a legal.
This is unchanged. There's nothing in this that's been changed.
Yeah. No, 100%.
Because I asked them to go and check for cleanup. And they said, well, we have to first determine whether or not they're in violation. Yeah, you are. Oh, okay. You're in violation. Not to be a junkyard.
How are you?
We'll just get that.
We're talking about basically the yeah, if we do, we need to tell them. And I don't know, like I said, we'll check with you. Yeah, I was just, I guess in my mind, it was just like an hour here and an hour there. Just wait for you guys open. If you can pull off and go, same like that. But we'll work it. Okay. I'm not sure what these understand. That's the reason I want the holidays. Okay. So,
I know.
it's interesting. Yes. All the tubes and everything, I'm still on the same tube. He was, putting the tax and make sure that they're building.
I didn't know that.
As clean as possible. Well, let's see what we can do. We'll see what we can do. And we'll check with whoever you guys do. Because that's kind of like that, you know, I just think of the block because it's easy for sure them. But I know it's hard to pull off.
I've never.
I know, so there's two.
But either way.
Especially when you're trying to catch up. We'll do what we can.
I appreciate it, thank you. Between the RC runway and there's a huge bog out there.
Yeah.
People will swallow the trucks.
Everything tomatoes together.
So, question for you, on the approval of this holiday day.
Peas.
Does that mean for the guys?
So Tom and I have been talking about that. We'll come out with a total summary. Yeah. We've done initial
special talks, but
We
we
talked
haven't
to them,
hit anything down
I
yet.
say, to me, it's easiest, this is a much sense worth input, just give me a call here, and just put it on the
that are able to demonstrate that, or Josh
Take
can
a third of the shift off, or, you know.
Ours, no, but.
It's really,
Yeah, we'll
really
work
like-
through that.
We'll line it up here in the next week. Get it out to
I
everybody.
just really want to be able to take Tuesday off.
Well,
You don't get
I just want
to.
Sunday.
So did you just approve my entry, so at least I get 40 weeks, that was good. That's nice.
Yeah, like the fourth, will start around 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
They did a lot of changing.
That's your busy time, too.
Well, I'll have stuff set up so I don't have to worry about it. Weekend off, whatever, go back.
You're on the floor, twice a month.
Yeah, and I'll be here, yeah, like I said, we start about 3 o'clock. We'll have all the tubes set and everything, that whole from station 2 out inside. All of the shelves get put in there, tube. Wiring, E-matches, that's all it's to do. The device goes to the electronic box to use. And when I say E-matches, electronic matches, it's just like a match head, and there's 2 wire heads on it, so. All wired in. All of our testing, make sure all the continuity is there, all that fun stuff, and then. Vertical port. Yeah, we've had a couple of years.
I like that.
We had some issues with the front.
Give me the extra.
It's all dark, we're still trying to get the assholes wired together.
You're still shining the lights.
Yeah.
We were show up once at the fourth and they all went out.
And the only thing that sucked with that is you said that holiday kids.
Actually tried to look at it.
So I had to make
They
it.
used to have it.
All right, well, I'm 10. I'm 10.
So I keep every year in that a little bit.
Yeah.
Make sure it's better, better.
Yeah. All right, cool. Or let's do this holiday.
You didn't even start.
Of course.
You have a flight scheduled this evening.
I'm all over.
Everybody seems in a jovial mood.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, she was.
Things only blow when I'm not here.
She's ill, so.
Perfect.
Things get crazy when I'm not here. That's what I call it. Craziness happens when I'm not here.
All right, good night, goodbye.
It was Myra who made that observation.
She's very astute.
She is. It's like a master baker.
Well, I'll see you guys at department heads tomorrow.
Yeah, 10 o'clock.
Not me.
I'm gonna be after you.
What's
It's really hard not to be there, we'll see how it goes.
What?
Here's all I can.
I'll give you, I'll give you till October.
How did trash man go Saturday?
And that's when I'm ready.
How did you guys work?
Work.
We worked 5 hours.
No, I'm scared, no, well, I'm sorry, I don't want to listen to you at all.
No.
You do.
I want to do that.
Okay, so that gives me enough time to come in when they
The thing is what happens with the transition.
Yeah.
What they do.
Yeah.
City manager would do.
Pretty much. I mean,
Ultimately,
things
you
are
would
in-
be going to make it.
I think you would.
I just kept
If it were me,
We
I'd
didn't
be-
extend it to, like, we had.
Okay.
We need to all be together.
We just kept going.
In my mind.
But we need,
So there is-
probably a talk about that too, that we
Have you
engagement,
been
we
engaged
need, I
Well,
need
so much
direction
community service
and
with the Agency Operations
solicit,
Center.
you know,
City members
and,
Yeah.
I'm getting there. I do
You gotta
it
be
more
able
hours, I
to-
will.
Right.
I'm working
We
summer
gotta
best,
jump off.
so that's 6 hours.
and,
Give me a definition of community service hours, because 90% of what I do is that.
You know, and I can tell that we were.
So, like, if you'll take a grade or not, I'll do it.
And
Just depends on
we,
what I
good for me, I mean,
It's not a big deal.
you know, we're gonna help Rawlins.
Exactly.
It's not a us versus inside the city, outside the city.
but that, with that is education and I think presence too, you know, Copper and I talked about
I was
that
talking to
today
somebody who
and
did it several years
it's like,
ago. When they found out we were separating, they're like, you guys should totally get it. That was the best bonding experience ever. I'm like, I can imagine, but I think it just kept going much farther and farther and farther, and all of a sudden we're like,
I think it is, and after the days, I think you imagine what
There's gonna be a good one, we got more coming. We got another one to
one kid on the airport, my husband on.
July.
Pick one up,
So,
drop one off. The
it's
airport this weekend,
$700
next weekend, we're
million
weddings.
budget. That's some of the projects.
She has outside work, so it's out too, so.
And they're so transparent, you know, it's so easy to work with.
And that's the battle. They'll allow all the stuff they're volunteer for to be community service hours then. Nothing.
You know, you don't, they,
There's lots.
but
And there's lots of places to volunteer.
All right.
try it.
I'm excited to do that. I am. I know our interest is city limits. but we've got to
Pictures look
take
great.
big
I saw them on Facebook, so there's those two pictures.
Well, and I think that if we had strong representation, when you go back to, you know, when you use it for.
I know a bunch of girls got
I
together
was,
and did that.
you know, like quarterly, but like after we did this is what's going on, but, well, you know,
That's
then
Tara
I
and
think
Nicole
that that person, if they're strong enough invested, that they would, you know, show that, hey, you know, we really need to step up here and do better. And especially.
And get lots of marriage.
She said they just, you know, and
It's gonna be weird not having to do that.
which is so sad that everything starts here. You go out with February,
The first
but have
class
been,
next year.
you know, longer and
They'll
Jennifer.
do all ours, right?
And so,
Don't forget to
and
take
it's
a break.
extremely, this is where the majority of it starts, and then we go around.
Good design, like I kept thinking maybe I'll just do the nonprofit day, because that's what I do. But maybe we had a little bit of things, maybe what I'm doing, like you doing government.
Right.
Do something.
Right.
But I'm sure they feel that's here and there. I'm sure they feel like we're, you know, like you said, the population center.
Right. Right.
I'm sure that's where we're.
Well, and you know, and this is really, since I've taken over too, is that it's sort of that, you know, this, I really got, there's so easy to take. But what do they give back to us? What do they give back, whether it's events, the support that there is, and if they want us to, that's what, that's hurtful. And I know that, like, exactly like that, even that's, you know,
We just have to make that happen.
yes.
And I've got.
She should know that.
trust.
Go all the way to Canada.
We're
I can't lose him, he keeps saying we're supposed to, I know we keep, well, these are 3-year terms, right, so he's on, yeah, so he's already done it.
So he said, I didn't even know we were doing it.
Yeah, well, we did this year, so, but we'll be, we're gonna lose Dave, Dave's gonna retire, so, and Dave's been on a long time. And then Jeremy Stein is the chair, will be the
She presented
chair,
her
so
grant.
he's vice, so we're getting,
I'm like, I
he'll,
presented for grants
he'll
in
have
my
his
life.
first meeting, he'll have to do it, so we're gonna break him in. But I just, yeah, and I've got almost every municipality.
I just.
So that's really like that's been
Nice.
huge. So that's been, because they have not had that. So they still don't have surgery and that crazy. And this was a lot of my work there.
We put her together to get her flowers and stuff.
I know, well, I am, that's where all my, everything is happening.
Yeah, cool.
So,
It was a couple years
got
ago.
a few things on the iron here.
Like your flower hunters report and drop them off. Probably the season in the health plant. And the first couple of years I was trying to do it myself.
two prospects going over there, so we'll see. Yeah. So, we'll see. Some businesses try to go in downtown. Picked them up. So the first of June and got them out there. A little bit controversial. And got them out there. They just kept going. At this point, just. And honestly, I was like, just a little bit of money on it, but I would have caused my plants myself. Pack of plants is $10. You get 8 of them in those big planters. Oh, yeah, you know, well, so, I try to get it all around my sport, family sports, have you ever been to them? Yeah, well, they did their research and they called me back like 2 months later, and first thing they asked, understanding of what the project needed to make. And the shit was on this, because we've been working on it. And tell that people that some of the stuff they were talking about, like tracking the phones, okay, it was kind of creepy. Well, but people that they can track and just phone calls from back to Colorado, because I wanted to ask them, like, wait a minute, I have a Colorado number, I have a 303 number. So does it track me as a tourist every time I'm driving around the state? Because I'm not. But no, he's like, no, because they track it back to where it goes, like every night. So, again, kind of creepy, but. Wyoming is considered a whole state, not just a community, so the state is trying to figure out how to get the pressure to that line. And then we, as municipalities, will apply for grants to get, that's what they're, that's a big push, yeah. Is it creating more of an opportunity for people to stop on their pit stops? So good. And we call create. I don't, yes, but you know what, they need to work on their own problems, there's horrible, there were a lot of people that stay there. And we heard that the colonies and people that were there, because there was 250, so 285 registered for the 4 days. And then the first 2 days was
Nice. Oh, with like
the next 2 days, it started to phase out, and, but it was so over my head, the federal stuff.
Yeah, like the generic, I mean, it's all
Yes.
not names, but oh, it's
Yes.
so crazy.
Yes.
You could,
Yes.
oh, yeah.
Oh, really?
Advertising. I mean, this isn't as creepy, but
Well, the
like you can
Ramada,
advertise.
people were complaining about the Ramada, they didn't know if the next was
yeah.
coming or not.
Yeah.
So I knew that they could track
It
things.
was up and then the Best Western, what's like a
And they can
darn.
track it specifically. Because
They
they can go back on your
things.
phone and find out where you've been.
Yeah. It lives a lot.
So if you're gonna commit crimes,
Leave
leave your
phone
phone
at home if you're gonna leave all those shots, because even
And
this
then
is a
like.
truck.
Any of the smart
My
things.
goodness, it was
GPS.
And if you have a smart car, probably take that out.
Flower.
Yeah.
Bad things.
We left all our electronics at home, we rode our bicycle.
Bad things.
And it was cool, creepy cool.
We'll just set some goals. and
When you guys are graduating next, was that your last one, or do you have one more?
We're gonna come full again, and then.
I mean, currently you're
We're
in a
gonna
work
come
training,
out
so I don't know what to say.
Full nose.
Leaders.
Full nose.
Yes.
Come on, let's go. But the thing is, covered those, right, we're now meeting, well, we were meeting quarterly.
Okay,
once
we're
every
forgetting what
2
days
months.
of
Now we're doing
thing.
bi-monthly. So we'll see how that goes. That does help on the schedule, and I try,
Is it
my
Tuesday
director's
next week?
reports are like 6 to
What
7
time?
pages long.
Actually,
So
they have-
everything is all in
Is it
there,
like, yeah,
so that we keep the board meeting short.
so the
So,
27th?
She's very good. I think it's,
But
I think
that's
it's just
an
supposed to be
easy-
like afternoon. I think it's like late afternoon, early evening kind of thing.
some, just some, you know, time, I mean, time is important.
Is it-
Yeah, we all wish we had more time.
Yeah, so, I mean, I'm not, All right, good night. See you later. Bye. Bye.
Bye, honey.
Bye, Mara. Thank you for doing that for me. Are you going home now too?
Or was it just work?
2:28 today. No, 1:52 today. Bobby says we're taking the month of June off, so we won't have a meeting. However, we are scheduled to help probably for Jason Clare annual
Oh, 4 to 6.
cars. January the 15th.
I did
From
get
4 to
it.
7. That was my 7. But I don't know if we need to be there before 4. So I emailed Annette.
Okay.
And then yeah, from 4 to 7. I'll try something.
I will see what my life is. If you like her, we can meet you for sure.
Okay.
Then let me know.
Which is funny, because if you just waited for a couple of weeks.
No, it has to go through 3 readings. So it won't,
I miss a little
it won't be passed till July, like 17th, so like a month. And you probably submitted this a month ago. I mean, cause you don't,
You have to, oh, no, submitted June 1st.
no, so they got it on.
But he must have, I bet he was working on it,
Well, they
way before that.
They usually tell you the timeline of like, you come in and you're like, if you have it in by this date, we can get it on by this date. If you miss that date, you have to wait like another month.
Yep.
I'm gonna go. No, isn't there something else? There's 2 things. There's a septic tank.
I just saw the garage, but maybe.
Should have just septic.
Oh, you're right.
Where's
Mule Deer?
website? I think it's up in one of those neighborhoods. I don't think it's. I actually had to Google it, and now I forgot it. I think like kind of behind the old Presbyterian church. I think.
Why would they need a septic tank up there?
It's like on the edge of town.
It doesn't even pop up in Google.
Wait, I'm like, where did how did I find?
It's literally not even on Google Maps.
Weird ass. I bet if we go in my office, we can, I bet it might have it.
Do you want to even come up on Google Maps?
Good plan.
So,
Okay.
so I came out, get yourself up and running. So while I was down there, Mr. Weisenberg had to step out. At 9:05 through 9:12. And I exited at 9:12. Okay, and right now, I don't think, well, they didn't tell me to ask anyone else to come down, so it's just them right now.
Okay. Oops, I didn't even spell your name right. It's W-E-D. and
Good job.
Y.
Good job. Yeah. I'm gonna do the over there thing. Would you text me if they come back?
The door's unlocked.
Oh, yeah. That's pretty cool looking. With the big shovel. It's a neat idea.
I'm probably just gonna put my computer away.
I'm sure
Or-
you're kicked off by now, don't worry.
Oh, I know I am.
You're kicked off by now. Well, I started my night that way.
Yeah, you did.
Let's see if I'm still on.
Hey.
It was me last meeting, so it's your
Oh,
turn.
was? Let me see if I'm in. I'm in. Oh, mighty.
I
Okay.
am not.
I'll let him
I've
have it.
been.
Councilman Weisenberg.
I moved to come out of executive session per Wyoming statute 16-4405 at 9:47 PM.
Second.
There's been a motion made and seconded to come out of executive session at 9:47 PM. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, please open online voting.
Online voting is open.
Yes.
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 Online voting has closed. The motion passes with 5 yeas.
All right, was there anything discussed during executive session that anybody deems improper? Hearing none, we will move on to the next item. Councilman Wells?
I move to approve and pay claim number GL 230062.
Second.
There's been a motion made and seconded to approve claim number GL 230062. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, please open online voting, and my computer's off again, so yay for me.
Yeah.
Yay.
Online voting has closed. The motion passes with 4 yeas and 1 abstain. Councilmember Weisenberg is abstained.
All right, the next thing on our agenda is to approve a set of executive minutes.
I move to approve the executive session minutes of June 5th, 2023, regular city council meeting.
Second.
There's been a motion made and seconded to approve executive session minutes of June 5th, 2023, a regular city council meeting. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, please open online voting, and I will vote yay.
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 Abstain.
Yay.
Closing down, that's off.
Now, that was E, right?
That was D.
D, okay, sorry.
Online voting has closed. The motion passes with 4 yeas and 1 abstain. The 1 abstain with Councilmember Weisenberg.
All right, so the next thing on our agenda is another set of executive session minutes.
I make a motion to approve the executive session minutes of June 14th, 2023, special city council meeting.
Second.
Been a motion made and seconded to approve the executive session minutes of June 14th, 2023, special city council meeting. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, please open online voting, and I will vote yay.
Abstain, please.
Abstain.
Yay.
Yay.
I believe motion carries.
Online voting has closed. The motion passes with 3 yeas and 2 abstained, and 2 abstained with Councilmember Wells and Councilmember Weisenberg.
All right, is there another motion on Vice Mayor Sanger?
I move to direct Terry Wykeham, Mayor Terry Wykeham, to present the contract as amended.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
There's been a motion made and seconded to allow me to present a a contract as amended. Is there any further discussion? Please open online voting. And yay for me.
Yay.
Yay.
Yeah.
It's quiet in here.
You want some candy?
I kind of do.
All right, online voting has closed, the motion passes in 5 days.
All right, thank you. Is there anything else that needs to come before this body? Hearing none, this meeting is adjourned. Our next meeting is at July 5th, 2023. It's a Wednesday. Thanks, everybody, for all your hard work today. It's been an incredible day for Rawlins today. It really has. We had people from Washington, D.C., Cheyenne, lots of them. It's an exciting day. We will remember this day forever. It will be in the
100 years
history
from now.
books. It really will. All righty.